God, thank you for Thanksgiving, for my polka dots.
Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Ray Russell here, and welcome to a special holiday episode of the Wrestling Grenade. It's Happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to those here in the United States. Happy Thursday to everyone worldwide listening to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Reminder, you guys can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Home of the free prize giveaway is Twitter and Facebook now. Of course, on Twitter, you can follow us at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. And over on Facebook, you guys can follow us at facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Again, RASSLIN Grenade there on Facebook, or maybe soon it'll be meta.com. I'm not really sure what's going to go on with that. You guys can follow us right now for your chance tonight to win our next free prize giveaway. It's an October 1992 WWF magazine with Tatanka on the cover. Why Tatanka? Why not? It's Thanksgiving. I figured it was something different to do. So why not Tatanka? WWF Magazine, October 92. A very cool cover. I think it's one of Steve's favorite covers from the old WWF mags. But yeah, so tonight we're going to draw our next free prize giveaway winner. Winner to be announced tonight, Thanksgiving night. You can follow us right now. It's not too late. Follow us right now for your chance to win. And you can continue to follow us for future chances to win all of our free prize giveaways, whether it's autographs that Steve gives out, magazines, all kinds of other goodies that we come across and decide, you know what, let's let the loyal listeners have a shot at attaining and owning some of these great pieces of memorabilia. So all you got to do is follow us, and you're automatically entered into each and every free prize giveaway we do. You can win anything. We've given away everything from Lex Luger promo picture, 1989 United States Heavyweight Champion Lex Luger promo pic, autographed, of course, Bret Hart. Just given away not too long ago. Winner was at P80s here on Twitter, and he retweeted a picture. You guys can go to our Twitter account and see that picture he retweeted. Of course, he's holding up the Bret Hart autograph we sent him. Congratulations on that win. A very cool picture indeed Steve sent out. And then our latest here, we've given away Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the 8x10, autographed 8x10 of the Barber as well on Halloween, because Brutus the Barber Beefcake is back.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake is back!
6 of the scariest words you could ever put together. Brutus Beefcake for Halloween there. And, of course, now Thanksgiving, Tatanka, why not? Like I said, the magazine is available. We're going to draw tonight. So as you're listening to this is dropping Thursday morning. So you have all day to follow the Grenade right now on Twitter or Facebook or both places. And you double your chance, if you follow us both places, of getting an opportunity to win this free prize giveaway. A reminder, this is a special bonus episode that we thought we'd throw out there in light of the holiday spirit, the tradition of this time of year, if you will. More on this episode in just a moment. For those looking for our latest edition of The Grenade featuring April of 1993 in the WWF, that just dropped yesterday. And it's already available as episode number 39 of The Grenade. You can find April 93 in the WWF, aka episode number 39, anywhere you listen to our show. That's WrestleCopia.com or any of your favorite podcast streaming apps. In today's bonus episode, we take you back in time to November of 1995 and the WWF Survivor Series. This is a special Survivor Series 95 watch-along. Up until now, it was only made attainable by the $5 all-access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Gives you early access to the Grenade shows, all of my insanely detailed show notes for both the Grenade and Monday Warfare, unedited versions of TR Shocks the World, and yes, of course, our Patreon watch-along series, which includes Saturday night's main events, the Coliseum video collection, Clash of the Champions, and WWF WCW pay-per-views that coincide with the Monday Night War era, complimentary pieces to our Monday Warfare, the Battles Within podcast, our sister show, Monday Warfare. Over at Patreon, you guys can listen to all of the watch-alongs for the pay-per-views we do during the Monday Night War era, and that started in late 95, and we're in the middle of 1996 now. We've hammered out WrestleMania 12. We've done some In Your Houses, Slamboree 96. We're coming up on the debut of the NWO here very shortly. But we also did Survivor Series 95. We actually recorded this particular watch-along last year around this time, the Monday before Thanksgiving, 2020 to be exact. And here we are 1 year later. In the spirit of the Survivor Series, we wanted to do a little something special for our loyal listeners and drop some extra content out here for free. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Grenade and watch the Series 95 along with us as Steve and I go back in time to witness the famous Diesel versus Bret Hart title match, the first and only wild card match in Survivor Series history, the return of The Undertaker after his face-crushing experience at the hands of King Mabel, a very underrated Body Donnas versus Underdogs elimination match, Bam Bam Bigelow's swan song in the WWF as he takes on newcomer Goldust, and the ladies from the All Japan Women's Organization invade the WWF here. Plus, Mr. Perfect returns to the company after more than a year and a half hiatus, all here on Survivor Series 95. It's a really fun show, guys, that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. So please sit back, enjoy this episode, people, because by the time you hear this, I'll be cooking away in the kitchen and watching NFL Network to see who this year's Jive turkeys are. Again, this is a bonus episode. April 93 in the WWF dropped yesterday, and we'll continue on pace when we return next Wednesday with more WWF and 1993 goodness, a special European Rampage Tour 1993 watch-along as we watch not one, but two big events in Europe from April 1993. It being Thanksgiving, we here at The Grenade at WrestleCopia brand are thankful for you, our loyal listeners, the feedback you give us, the support you show, the retweets, the likes, the follows, the YouTube subscriptions, our patrons. As we continue to grow, we give you our thanks from the very bottom of my heart. And while we're giving thanks, Big Dust, what are you thankful for this holiday season?
What I'm thankful for Thanksgiving, for my polka dot.
I should have seen that coming. Okay, folks, be back next week with Steve for more WWF in 1993, but for now, it's Survivor Series time. So head on over to the Peacock, watch along, and enjoy. This is the WWF Survivor Series 95 watch along in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Perfect!
And we get going there, and this was the return to the WWF of Mr. Perfect. We hadn't seen him since the WrestleMania 10 fiasco, maybe a taping or two afterwards. So Mr. Perfect's back in the WWF once again here at the tail end of 1995.
Yeah, I remember getting this on pay-per-view, and seeing Mr. Perfect come out was awesome. It got you going right away. He's back, so obviously Mr. Perfect's Mr. Perfect. So you're always excited when he comes back. So it was a great way to start the show, and just watching it here, man, I got goosebumps. Just hearing his music and the way Howard Finkel introduced him, like, you know, just doing what Howard does, and just amazing, man.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, I wanted to put that in context just in case anybody's listening doesn't really understand. Mr. Perfect was not in the company. This was not announced ahead of time. This is how they opened up their show, a special surprise return of Mr. Perfect to the WWF, and one of my favorites of all time, maybe to this day now, probably my top one or two favorites, but certainly back then, one of my always in my top three favorites of in all of wrestling at that time period, even though he wasn't wrestling. So once they did that, I go, oh my God, it's Mr. You hear the music and the music alone, and then here he comes to the ring, and it's, oh my God, Mr. Perfect, all is right in the World Wrestling Federation. Mr. Perfect's back. That's the WWF I know. And they could have put shit out here for the first match. And it took me about a half hour before I realized how crappy this show was at that. And it's not. It's a great match. But I mean, they could have put shit out here to open the show Maybe this is when they should have put Bammer and Goldust out here, because I would not have noticed otherwise, because I was just elated, ecstatic, excited, and just a fanboy mark at this point, seeing Mr. Perfect back and just waiting for him to say those first few words here as they open the show. I don't know if this is the first night we get the 3-man team, but this is right around when they're starting up the 3-man team, basically trying to copy that Monday Nitro situation with Eric Bischoff and company.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the first, but it's definitely different. And I recall, like, he did really well on commentary. He sounded good. He knew what he was talking about, and he was believable. I mean, like, you really don't need to say much everybody knows who Mr. Perfect is, and he brought a lot to the table as far as commentary goes.
Yeah, he wasn't really ready for the women's match. A lot of sexist comments in there. Not that I mind. I mean, it was done in comedy, as comedy bits, but it was just he had no background, no knowledge of anything going on in that match. So I know that one's a little, it kind of threw him off, threw him for a loop. But I loved seeing this here. And I think this is the pay-per-view where he tells Vince McMahon, you said anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. And obviously he comes back and all of a sudden Barry Horowitz is no longer a job guy. So I love the way he put Barry Horowitz over there and did it at the expense of the WWF slogan, anything can happen in the WWF.
Yeah, he was on top of it. Like, to be honest with you, it was a one-man show with that women's match. It was Jim Ross, and that was about it. Vince had no clue.
Yeah, and Jim, I'm sure Jim wasn't sitting around watching All Japan women's shows in his off time. I'm sure that was Jim knowing that somebody needs to study up on this to make this passable. Jim being a professional is what that was, really, is Jim Ross just being the professional he was in situations like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So he's not going to go out there and make an ass out of himself. He may do it now just because, I mean, he's already established. He can do whatever he wants at this point. He's Jim Ross. So
let's talk about this match here for a minute. And it's the Underdogs, the team of Marty Jannetty and company. He led to the ring, of course. Who do we got out there with Marty? We got Bob Sparkplug Holly, Barry Horowitz. Well, I guess, what is Horowitz? The captain, I suppose. It's Barry Horowitz leading the team of Marty Jannetty, Bob Sparkplug Holly, and of course his buddy Hakushi. And Bob Holly wasn't originally a member of this match. He actually replaces Al Snow Avatar, who at this point has still only made his debut on an episode of Monday Night Raw. But the story goes that Bob Holly was pretty much ready to quit the company, and this was the bone they threw him. And I think they give him another bone at the Royal Rumble. They let him stay in the Royal Rumble match for 20, 30 minutes, something like that. But this is a bone they threw him. They took Al Snow off the show because he had just got to the company, and they weren't really sure on the Avatar gimmick anyway. And so Bob Holly replaces Avatar, and here's our other replacement. On the opposite side of the ring, we got the Body Donna team. That's Dr. Tom Pritchard you see out there, the Heavenly Bodies. Jimmy Del Rey is long gone. Rad Radford, a.k.a. Louis Spicolli. The leader of the Body Donnas, of course, is Sonny, but for tonight we're going to pretend it's Skip. Skip in the ring, Chris Candido. And the fourth member was set to be Jean-Pierre Lafitte, another guy who has issues right now with the company and more specifically the Clique. But that's not why he's not here. He's not here because apparently he had a hernia surgery and he was out anyway with an injury. So they sell it like he was paid to take the night off. And of course, here we see action from last week's Raw where the 1-2-3 Kid turns on his buddy Razor Ramon and aids Psycho Sid in this win here over the Intercontinental Champion non-title match. And that's pretty much where we are now. DiBiase's basically paid the Kid's way into this match here at the Survivor Series.
I like it. Razor came down and trying to get that heat. And your buddy Gerald Briscoe out there, Tony Garea, Rene Goulet.
Tony Garea is not my buddy.
That's your boy. And again, it's a cool way to open the show, like having him come out and start stuff. You really didn't see that very much back then. And he wanted to get at the Kid for screwing him against Sid. So I thought that was pretty cool. Again, like they did a lot of stuff right away to get you hyped up for this show. And then these guys, all 8 of them can really, I mean, outside of maybe Horowitz, but he's talented in his own right.
Barry can go. Barry was very underrated. I mean, it's just, I think once they actually started pushing him, that's when he kind of lost his groove because he was too busy trying to work a gimmick or whatever it was on top of just being able to come on here and wrestle. Everything almost had to be, accidentally done. And nice move there by Jannetty. Misses the Kid. Pritchard off the ropes. fun spots here as we get things going real fast. I love it. You look at the names in here, and you just know you're going to get a good match. You know, you got Jannetty on the one. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know how many times Marty Jannetty opened a Survivor Series as I start to think about it here in the 90s. Anyway, he was in that opening. Great finish to that 93, really fast-paced finish to that 93 Survivor Series match with Marty and the Kid on the same team.
Yeah.
And then here we are again. They're against each other here in 95, and Jannetty actually blows out his knee in his final match during this run here with the WWF at the Survivor Series 96, actually blows his knee out during the opening match there, so that's unfortunate that he's basically out the door in a year's time from here. But here's Louis Spicolli getting a push, and I would have never knew when Rad Radford made his debut that this was Louis Spicolli. It took an aftermag to make me realize that, because I'd only seen Louis Spicolli up until this point as a job guy in the late 80s, early 90s WWF, and then as the Madonna's boyfriend character at the AAA pay-per-view for the WCW, When Worlds Collide. So other than that, I really hadn't seen Louis Spicolli beef up here. Like, he's a big boy.
Oh, yeah. He was always relatively large for a jobber, but yeah, he's put on some weight, looks pretty good. He fit that 95 grunge look that he's going for here, and he did it pretty well.
Yeah, that grunge look was
guy too.
Yeah, the grunge look was great. It's a big deal here in the mid 90s, but I don't know that Louis really embraced it all that well, or he knew a whole lot about it, I guess is what I should say.
Isn't he from that area? Around that area?
He's from California.
Is he California? He's a California guy,
yeah.
So still West Coast, but yeah, not quite Seattle.
I was so bummed. I don't know if you remember when we talked on our episode of Monday Warfare about the debut of Avatar. I really loved the character, and I loved Al Snow from Smoky Mountain, so I was so pissed when they announced Avatar as being part of this match, and then all of a sudden Bob Holly comes out, who had been jobber extraordinaire on And I'm not trying to knock Bob Holly, as he's perfectly capable of having a decent, match here as part of the Survivor Series, but I was just bummed because where did the Avatar go? Damn it, I only saw him the one time, and now he's gone. So I was a little upset that Bob Holly replaced Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar, I like the gimmick. I thought it was a good idea. Yeah, definitely nice spine buster. It's just unfortunate, too many spoofs and missed spots and things like that due to the oil from the Battle Royal and things like that. So you only get one first impression, and he kind of blew his, it looked like. And it's not necessarily his fault, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and here we are. You get Bob Holly in there.
Kid working over Hakushi in the corner. So the kid's fresh off of the heel turn. I think he's, 6 days old, heel turn?
Mm-hmm. They had a really good match at SummerSlam, him and Hakushi.
Yeah, these 95 pay-per-views make excellent complimentary pieces to the Monday Warfare show. If you guys don't already listen to it, do yourself a favor, go check it out. We've been having a lot of fun running through the Monday Night War. It's opened up a whole new set of eyes for me. And this is pretty cool because we get to see a culmination of a lot of these guys that don't really necessarily make Raw, and now we're getting to see them here as part of the Survivor Series.
Got to watch those superstars to check out these guys. But like we said, man, when you see these guys in the ring, you just know it's going to be a very fast-paced, entertaining match. And this is what the WWF did back then. They always had a hot, fast match. Just look at the openers like the Royal Rumbles. You got the Orients and the Rockers. You just want a fast-paced match that is going to be different than most of the card. Outside of this one's kind of unique in the sense that you get really two fast-paced matches back-to-back that you didn't really get very often.
Right. I should note real quick here while Tom Pritchard's working over Bob Holly, we had a dark match here on this particular pay-per-view that involved the Public Enemy from ECW at this point in time. They were getting their tryout with the WWF. Both Pritchard going up for the moonsault. Misses the moonsault. That might be it for Dr. Tom. If Bob Holly can make the tag or capitalize with something of his own here. Oh, he's going up top. Might be time for the cross body block. Bob Holly, start your engines. Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3. Dr. Tom, first guy gone in the Survivor Series. Skip up. Didn't even have to hook the tights. And Bob Holly, thanks for coming. We got you on the pay-per-view. You got a pay-per-view payday. Stick with us for another 10 years or so.
Love that move. I always loved that move.
Hakushi was so fluid, man. Just what a talk about dropping the ball. And this is just a Vince thing, maybe even a Bruce Pritchard thing. They just don't know how to book guys like this. When we've seen with Great Muta, they book themselves. Just let them go out there and do what they can do and just work an angle around it. They don't necessarily have to have.
They don't need a gimmick.
Right.
Let it be them. He's so unique and looks so different.
And how silly to
be different, you know?
How silly to turn him babyface and Americanize him as if a Japanese wrestler has to be Americanized to be a babyface. It's such a silly thought here in 2020, but that was, I don't even know if that was America in 1995, but that was Vince McMahon in 95. That might be Vince McMahon right now. I don't really know. Nice move there from Candido. He looks like he hit his own head on the way down and boom.
Chris is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I should mention we're at the old Cap Center here. Now named the U.S. Air Arena by this point in Landover, Maryland. I think they drew something like 14,500 fans. No surprise, a sellout with all of these guys on the same card.
Oh, yeah, this card is kind of loaded for 95 anyway. I mean, the roster was thin, but that wild card match, and then you got the dark side match. Names now, like, well, holy cow, like just looking at some of the names, but yeah, this is a very fun, underrated show, like I've said.
Handspring, elbow. Hakushi running fast and furious right now on the kid. And yeah, the kids.
I love Hakushi, man. I loved him when I was a kid. He just stood out, like you said. They booked themselves. They're so damn talented. They're unique. Their moves are different. Everything's different about him. Just let them go out there and be themselves, and they're going to get over. And you can't tell me he wasn't over. The feud he had with Bret, and then his good matches he had with the kid at SummerSlam and things like that. It's just, you had to turn him face and Americanize him, and that completely cut his legs out from under him, and it's unfortunate.
Well, not only that, they just made him completely incapable. He went from working with guys like Bret Hart to doing jobs and getting stuck in silly matches, and it was like it was boom, kick to the back of the head. Didn't see that coming, and Rad Radford going to steal this pin, no doubt.
Okay, right.
While I remember, I should go back to what I was mentioning before. Public Enemy, both WCW and the WWF were making a play on the team at the same time. They were really hot in the aftermags. I know I spoke with you before on an episode of Monday Warfare about how hot Sabu was in 93, 94, certainly 95, because of simply the aftermags and how much he was put over. Public Enemy, if Sabu was number one, Public Enemy were number two. Had you never seen them, you would have thought they were the greatest tag team in the United States at this point. Better than what you were watching on Raw and Nitro, which really isn't hard to do in some instances. But so here they are getting their tryout match in a match against the Smoking Guns in the dark match of the pay-per-view. So yes, the Smoking Guns, the newly crowned WWF Tag Team Champions. Had they won the belt yet, or are we not at that stage yet? No, they haven't won them yet. We're not at the pay-per-view yet, or the Raw where they win them. So sorry, spoiler, folks. The Guns will get the belts back here fairly shortly from Yoko and Owen. But at this point, I guess they're just working 2-on-2 tag team match. But they get the win, I guess, in what was described as a workout type match. The Guns over the Public Enemy. Of course, the Public Enemy would ultimately join WCW near the beginning of 1996.
Didn't they have the choice? They could have went either one, right? I think Bischoff just offered more money.
It could have been about the money. I could also see Vince not understanding their style. I don't really know without going into the old observers or doing a little digging. I mean, it very well could have been both. I'm sure. If nothing else, Vince would have liked to have signed him just to make sure WCW didn't at this point with the whole Monday Night War situation going on. So I'm sure the door was there for both of them, and I have no doubt they were offered more money over on the Turner side of things.
Oh, absolutely. The problem with, I don't want to get too far off here, but the problem with the Public Enemy is they look good in ECW because they're working a certain style in ECW, and they got the freedom to cut some really, 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 really entertaining promos and sell a story. And that's what made them good. It wasn't the in-ring work at all. So they just didn't, I don't think they fit in either company, to be honest with you. They were kind of they were terrible in WCW. And
well,
I don't
worse
see
than the WWF.
WWF. I don't see how they would have fit in here at all.
No, there wouldn't have been tables would not have been getting broken every week. That's for sure. Oh, homage to Mr. Perfect. Do you think Spicoli did that on purpose? That rolling neck snap there, and he points out, and I say that, just as I say that, he points right out to Mr. Perfect at ringside on commentary. How many times do you think Spicoli took that move back in the old job guy days?
Hundreds. Hundreds.
And it's really funny how the company, the business had changed. Look who we have in the ring right now, Steve. Barry Horowitz and Louis Spicoli, both perennial jobbers for years in the WWF, have now made it to the big time, made it to the pay-per-view. Who would have thunk it just a few years earlier? And Spicoli with terrible push-ups. And Barry Horowitz, that 3/4 Nelson hook. 2, 3, Radford is eliminated.
I always like that pinning combination there by Horowitz. It's different, and it looks
it's
cool.
amateur. Yeah, it's amateur roll, the 3/4 Nelson roll. Yeah, it's very good. I loved it. That's how he beat Skip, right? The first time he beat Skip.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Only Candido could turn around and make Barry Horowitz look like he's towering over him. I think that's one of the things, obviously, that hindered Skip here in the WWF, just the height alone, because it sure wasn't his work rate.
No, absolutely not. The guy is, again, another one of those guys that are underrated, and everybody that talks about him, I know Shane Douglas raves about him, and he's probably a little biased due to how much he worked with him and things like that. But other people that I've heard talk about him said that there's hardly very many people better than him, and he's just so talented, man.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Horowitz missed that blind tag to the Kid. Took a shot in the back and a Hulk Hogan leg drop from the 1-2-3 Kid. And that that wipes out Barry Horowitz, the leader of the Underdog. You know, when they gave these team names here, I can't begin to tell you how pissed off I was that Marty Jannetty was lumped into a team called the Underdogs. I just didn't visually see Marty Jannetty, or Hakushi for that fact. It really upset me about both of them. But I felt like the name was very disrespectful to some of the guys on the actual tag or on the team. I wish they would have come up with something a little better than that.
Yeah, I can see it. It's just coming in like none of them really have a push going on. It's something there. Like, Horowitz had his thing, but it wasn't a lot. And these other guys, like outside of, I guess the Kid, thankfully the Kid got added instead of Lafitte. Or if not, you'd really have nobody on either team that was relatively doing anything. And the Kid definitely added some much needed star power and oomph to this match based off of and the only reason that's the case is because he just turned a week ago. So you was interested to see him.
Yeah,
and
it was nice that they were able to
change. I'm
very shocked that they didn't work him into the Shane Douglas spot on the wild card match just because they hate Shane Douglas so much here.
Yeah, but, you're not wrong.
With Lafitte out with a legit injury, though, I guess it made sense and it worked perfectly. And it was actually the perfect match, too. There's enough guys on the opposing team to where it was believable that the Kid could take these guys out. Because if you're watching and paying attention, he's responsible for Hakushi's elimination. We saw him just beat Barry Horowitz there. I know there's a great spot coming up here with Marty Jannetty and Candido off the top rope. That it was certainly the first time I had ever seen something like that. Blew my mind. I was like, what are these guys doing? I don't want to give away too much before we get the rocker dropper coming up. And Candido takes it properly, so no, he doesn't break his neck. No Chuck Austin here tonight. Marty might be going for the flying fist drop here.
How's that not a DQ there?
Oh, it was an accident. She was getting down. As Sonny crotches Marty Jannetty. It's not the first crotch Sonny's played with, I'm sure.
It's not the last either.
No, Marty and Candido on the top. Watch this move, everyone. Talk about dangerous. God bless Candido. Taking that power bomb halfway across literally halfway across the ring. And see what happened back in those days? Things like that were finishes, ladies and gentlemen. How do you come back from that? You don't.
What is that? A finish?
A big move followed by a pinfall?
Right. What's funny is Candido took that move and turned it into the blonde bombshell, and that was his finisher.
Boom, big leg drop off the top from the Kid. And Very ironic. It comes down to Marty versus the Kid here. They're former WWF Tag Team Champions, if only for a week. They were a tag team in the WWF at one point.
Oh, yeah. The crazy part about it, man, is no matter how many times they did it, they kind of did this. It didn't have as much effect as it did the Kid and Marty when they won the belts from the Quebecers and almost messed up the Royal Rumble match. But and then they did it again the next year with Bob Holly and the Kid. So they did that quite a few times, and each time I kind of pop for it because it's so cool to see the underdog, so to speak, get that chance and they take advantage of it. Like it really did sell the fact that anything could happen, and I think that's what was so cool about Raw and these pay-per-views back in the day. Like you really had no clue what you was going to see. I mean, you have a pretty good idea of who's going to win in certain matches,
right?
But they did their best to really give you a little bit of everything and kind of surprise you on each show, and that's missing in today's world.
Yeah, this has been a very entertaining match, very hot, fast-paced match. Great way to kick off the show, and like you said, it's really you really would expect something like this coming out of a 1995 pay-per-view. I feel like there was a little window there near the end of 95, beginning of 96, where the WWF had hope. It felt like everything was turning around to some degree, and then it kind of tapers back off a little during some of 1996 before eventually hitting that boom period later on in 97. But I found this pay-per-view fun, and I haven't watched this pay-per-view probably in over 20 years. I still remember it just plain as day, and I'm entertained. Here we got Sid coming out, and that's the new buddy of the 1-2-3 Kid. Remember, the Kid helped Sid beat Razor. And now wherever Sid goes, the Kid goes. Wherever the Kid goes, Sid certainly goes, as you can see here. Marty Jannetty.
I was just going to say, man, what a presence Sid has. What a presence.
It's a great story, though. It's a great story, too. You have a giant monster backing up a 150-pound kid. I mean, he's not a kid, but, for all intents and purposes, he's a kid. And it's just what a combination. It's a perfect contrast, but it meshes well together. It's funny to, basically the Kid's going to get some wins and get some help from the Sid. And another rocker dropper. That's two guys who took the move properly tonight.
Good for them, man. They know how to do a move.
And it took Ted DiBiase a very long time, but it looks like he's finally starting to put together a real $1 million corporation with real talented guys that can have real matches. As Kama seems to be on the way out. King Kong Bundy may already be gone, I believe. Well, DiBiase distracts the ref. Jannetty dropped across the top rope thanks to Sid, and the Kid makes the cover. The Kid, 2, 3, gets the win. Match goes 18 minutes, 45 seconds, and the 1-2-3 Kid is your winner, thanks in part to Psycho Sid here. And I wonder how Razor Ramon feels about this. I think we're going to get a look at how he feels about that, and they're going to cut to the locker room here in a little bit.
Yeah, this was cool too because it was really, really different to see a reaction of a wrestler to what happened, and he beats the hell out of he breaks a video monitor here. And what's funny is if you look at the people with him, it's the BSK here, and it's the Undertaker's farewell, and I know we'll get to it later, but the team never made sense to me, Undertaker's team. And now, after the farewell and knowing more about Undertaker and everything, he just picked his boys and put them on the squad. So,
yeah, I never really thought about it, honestly, till you just brought that up. There have been so many Survivor Series teams that didn't make any sense. I mean, I go back to 93, you have the Model on the same team as Diesel and Adam Bomb. I mean, there's been a lot of weird-looking teams, so I never really wondered why such and such was on such and such team. That's just seemed to be the way it goes. But yeah, I really never put 2 and 2 together before when I watched that match. So, and there's Razor in the back. You pointed out already. Throws the monitor. He's pissed off, and this is probably the first time we've ever seen a reaction from a wrestler in the backstage area based on the outcome of something going on in the ring.
That he had no part of, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, he's upset that the kid survived. How dare he? So the kid makes a fool of Razor Ramon on Raw, and he turns around and survives the Survivor Series, a pay-per-view he wasn't even a part of until about 30 minutes ago.
Who doesn't belong here?
Well, we got Todd Pettingzoo back here. He's with Jim Cornette and company, Camp Cornette, along with Dean Douglas over there. This is part of the Wild Card team. These guys will be teaming with Razor Ramon later on tonight. So that's why Razor's not in. What's that?
This is a pretty good promo by Cornette here.
Well, we'll take a listen then. I don't remember it.
Now that you're ready for a rebel room at the Puzzle Factory, I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what they say. If you can't get along, we're going to get it on.
You know what, Razor Ramon, you better get serious. Quit fooling around, worrying about the 1, 2, 3 kid. You got a commitment with 3 other guys, Dean Douglas, Yokozuna, and myself, and get serious, because we're coming up to fight right away.
Todd Pettingill, the way it seems to me in my infinite wisdom is that the team is standing here united, ready to take on 4 of the toughest superstars in the World Wrestling Federation, but minus 1 competitor, 1 gladiator on this side. Razor Ramon, get your head on straight. Get away from the monitor. We got a match to take care of.
Wild card match getting wilder by the second, Vince. Let's get back to you and ringside.
All right, thank you very much, Tom.
Well, if nothing else, I got to hear Bertha Faye's music in the background, so that was still pretty awesome any way you want to look at it.
He picked up Cornette right when he was talking about he needs to go to the puzzle room or the rubber room at a puzzle factory. Oh, good stuff.
Let's do the timestamp real quick here while we wait for the babyface team to make their way out for this 8-woman tag team match. We're at 29, 15, 16, 17, 18. And Alundra Blaze, I always hated this intro, this pyro, very cheap. With sparklers, blaze, and they have to wait for it. It's not even up in the sky, so they have to wait for it. Are they going to raise it ever? Are we waiting for it to die out here before the intro? Here we go. So it's basically Bertha Faye with 3 members of the Japanese Women Wrestling Clan taking on Alundra Blaze with 3 of the same. It's Aja Kong, Lioness Asuka, and Tomoko Watanabe teaming with Bertha Faye. And then on the other side, Alundra Blaze brings out the beautiful, small Chaparita Sari. She's going to bust out that Sky Twister press during this match. Kyoko Nue is the lady in the tassels there. And then I think we got Hasegawa is out there too, I believe. So 8-woman tag team match. And this one goes pretty fast, so we got to kind of pay attention to this one. I encourage anyone doing the watch along to not take their eyes off this match. Lots of great talent out here. The Japanese ladies wrestlers are far, far, far above and beyond where the American lady wrestlers were in the 90s and maybe even today.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a given. They get grown into this. I mean, they 13, 14 years old, they start doing this, and it's their livelihoods. And I'd never seen these women before. I don't think I've ever seen them again outside of spots here and there, and I'm still entertained by this match. It's so crazy how talented these women are.
Yeah, and you really thought, based on this match, that we were going to keep these girls around. They just brought them in out of nowhere. Randomly decided to put this match together because Alundra really wasn't being featured very much on TV. She lost the belt. Oh, what a spin kick to Sari's face. Just took her face off. That spin kick. And here we go, the old giant swing. Rechristened the Cesaro swing now.
It's like they got told you got 10 minutes. Go out there and do your thing, and they just come out guns blazing.
Yeah, it should be noted that these girls are not used to going 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. These girls can really go. So you see sometimes in some of these finishes, they're not really sure if it's the finish. They kind of kick out when they're not supposed to, maybe, or she sits out there on Alundra. She's not having it. She's not going to take whatever Alundra was dishing out there. I don't know what she called, but she said, nah.
Oh, so awesome. Kicked her right in the face.
Alundra. Lioness Asuka all over Alundra Blaze here. Misses here we go. Looks like a German. Yep, there we go. 1, 2, 3, and our first elimination already. Thanks for coming all the way from Japan for your 1 minute and 90 seconds of wrestling action there.
Welcome. See ya.
She tries the moonsault. Alundra's already back up and out of the way, and Alundra going to take a dive to the floor. You didn't see this back then. The women jumping off the top rope to the floor back then. So good shit from Medusa.
Yeah, absolutely. She's stepping up her game here. She knows she has to, or she's going to stick out. I mean, Bertha Faye is there, but she knows she's going to have to step it up to fit in a little bit. And
there's that Sky Twister press shown again. The original camera angle doesn't really cover it so well. They really built that move up, so it was just kind of a throwaway here as she actually hits it. Very impressive move by the young lady, but they built it up. I think it was on the Action Zone in the Ross report or something. Jim Ross, they actually show a clip of Asari doing that, if I remember correctly, all the way back. Boom. Flying butt drop. Earthquake would be proud of that one. So they built it up like, watch out for the Sky Twister press. So a little bit of story there by Jim Ross. Another flying ass bomb. Straight off the top, bombs away. Boom. And see, there's where I'm talking about. It looks like she kicks out, but no. Oh, maybe she did. I'm not sure. I don't know if the referee knows. Oh, here we go.
Over here.
Yeah, there's no coming back. Asha Kong's in the ring. She's going to lay waste to some opponents here.
I think this is when Perfect's going in on Aja Kong.
Yeah, I think that's called "Sorry, honey, I won't do it again," or "I won't stay out late again." Nice head and arm suplex. Very awesome. Beautiful
suplex there, yeah.
Hasegawa really, really looking good here. I'm just afraid that the end result's not going to matter for Hasegawa.
And I will say, like I said, I never watched these girls before, but when Ross sells the hell out of that spinning backhand that Aja Kong does, and by the time it was over, man, I was believing it. I'm like, holy hell, that thing kills you, knocks you out. And,
and
I was
Aja Kong
believing
with her own Saito suplex there, 2, 3. And, this is hilarious. Poor Sorry in there, just a mismatch. Boom, bounces off Aja Kong. Great spot there. Aja really knows how to play up the American crowd, too.
Oh, yeah. She's good. And back then, I wasn't really liking bad guys that were heels and things, but I was impressed by her. And I was looking forward to Alundra Blaze Aja Kong match. I thought that would have been really good. Big time splash there.
Splash does it for Asari, and she's out of here. That leaves, 3-on-2 now? Yeah, we got Alundra Blaze left over there with Kyoko Inoue, one of the big timers of the 90s. And the Japanese lady. Man. Yeah, she's like a warrior, man. She's like the ultimate warrior of Japan. Only she can work. She can actually wrestle, though. So
what was that tag team in WCW? The Indians. I can't remember their name.
The Renegade Warriors?
The Renegade Warriors. Those guys. They had real flashy attire like that, too.
See, that was the elimination I don't think was supposed to be the actual elimination. It looks like Aja Kong drops down on her with a butt drop there, and the referee counts 3, but Kyoko Inoue completely kicks out, and you even see Aja Kong kind of try to scoot off of her as she's kicking out. The referee calls it 3, though, and everybody, including Medusa there, and the look on her face, everybody looks confused, like, uh-oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. It seems like they were setting up for another move before we got the elimination, but it's down to 3-on-2 here. Alundra Blaze is going to have to take on all 3 women. Former WWF Women's Champion Bertha Faye, and then Aja Kong, and Tomoko Watanabe. She's going to do her best. Come on, referee, do your job. What is this, AEW? Get some of these people back to the apron.
Come on, Mike Chioda. Do your job, man.
That spot right there always cracked me up. Bertha Faye snapmares Alundra Blaze, and Alundra Blaze rolls through the snapmare, lands on her feet, and goes and grabs Watanabe instead. She's like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So she completely no-sells the snapmare, and just very, very good professional is Alundra Blaze here. She goes for a pile driver. And I think this is actually the finish for Watanabe, if I remember correctly. So really weird. The whole thing just another confusing spot, I thought. But yeah, I think that's the end. The old Jerry Lawler pile driver gets it done for Medusa, and it's down to 2-on-1.
Medusa was awesome, man. here, like right now, like she's really good here. And
well, you know, she's only been fed what she's been fed here. I mean, the only person I think she's worked in the entire 1995 has been Bertha Faye ever since ever since Bertha's been there. Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that she came along in a time where she put a lot of effort into getting better and honing her skills, and there's nothing there. Like, really, the only place she can go is Japan.
Watch this.
And
wow. 1, 2, 3, and look at Bertha No Cell. Just sit up and roll out and say, "What the hell happened?" And she's done.
Bye-bye.
And even though we've seen her chase Harvey Whippleman away, he's still out there with Bertha. But no more. That is actually the end of Bertha Faye in the WWF. That's her last night with the company. Yeah, we won't see her again, I don't believe. Just a few random spots here and there on WCW. And then she's there during the Russo era where he really just disgusted me with the way he treated her on TV.
Bertha Faye, I don't even remember her being on there with Russo.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember it either if it wasn't something I happened to go over here in the last year or two. Misses that spinning backhand you were talking about, so Alundra escapes it there. But Aja's looking for it, and she'll hit it before it's over.
Yeah, and JR, like, he's really selling it throughout the match on commentary that you got to look out for the backhand. You got to look out for the backhand. And so you're waiting for it. You're waiting for it. And then he nails Medusa. She nails Medusa with it. And she's the women's champion. And she's gone. Like, she's out. I'm like, holy, that is deadly.
Yeah. Nice drop kick there from Alundra Blaze. The Ross report was, it's very underrated in regards to things like this. The old Ross report show on the Sunday morning program, The Action Zone, because I haven't seen it since it actually aired, but look how long it stuck with me 25 years ago. And I remember him putting over the spinning back fist. Watch out for the spinning back fist. Watch for Chaparita Sari's Sky Twister press. These were things I watched for when the match came, and lo and behold, there they were. So there was backstory. If you watch that Sunday morning TV program, Jim Ross built this matchup. He told a story where there was really no story to tell. So it was a very cool complimentary piece to this match. If you watched it, it made a lot of sense. If you didn't watch it, you just saw some cool moves. No, either way, pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. JR really, like we mentioned earlier, he saved this match. And I think Meltzer even commented that Vince really got exposed during this one, but he was quiet enough to let Jim Ross do the talking, and then Perfect did the jokes, and Vince did his what a maneuver type deal, and so they did their part in this match. And again, like I said, I was just waiting for that backhand. I couldn't wait to see it.
Here it comes. When she even counts it down, 1, 2, 3, boom! Looks like she breaks her nose, man. 2, 3, you better believe it's over. Aja Kong gets the win in 10 minutes and 1 second. A very fun match. I bet these girls, had they been given real time, I'm talking 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they would have put on an insane match. Nothing wrong with what we saw here, just a highlight of some of the moves that they do, but I bet they could have beaten the living hell out of each other and really gave us a show if they'd been given, even say as long as the Underdogs match, what was it, 18, 19 minutes, so... But I get it. It's the ladies. It's 1995, and 6 of the women we'd never even seen before. The other 2 we see once every 3-4 months. So I'm surprised this even made the pay-per-view cut. Very weird.
It's probably just because of how thin their roster is overall. I don't know if you could fit 8 more guys on this show, to be honest with you.
And here we go. Get another look at that. Oh, right across the side of the jaw. Oh. Very cool. Very cool.
Great sell job, too.
I don't think she had an option. But, yeah, she's holding her ribs. So we cut to the imposter Bill Clinton in the crowd. Kind of a fun spot here as Bam Bam comes out. His pyro goes off, big boom in the ring, and Secret Service covers the quote-unquote president. It's really, oh, my God, cringeworthy, but at the same time, it's somewhat comical.
Where's Jack Victory at when you need him?
Yeah, Secret Service out there. No Jack Victory. He might have been unavailable for this because they couldn't get the president and Jack Victory's ass into the same camera shot.
You're not wrong, man. Jack Victory would have been too obvious that it was a gimmick.
But I tell you what, and here we go. I think we're going to get the pyro here in a second, and they cut back to the president with the. Here, let's take a look. It's ridiculous.
Well, square off against him. Oh!
Get him down! Get him down!
Get him down! It's just.
Is he all right? All right, Mr. President.
Please.
All right? Are you all right?
Look at Secret Service there on the left. Secret Service Bruce Pritchard there on the left, it looked like to me. Unbelievable.
Vince no selling it.
Get him down! Get him down! Oh, come on. What was that shit? I want to talk about those the ladies for a minute, too, because there's a narrative out there, Alundra leaving the WWF, dropping the belt in the garbage can on Nitro and all those things. She wasn't even contract. She didn't, just like Luger. Luger had no contract when he jumped. Alundra had no contract for a completely different reason. Vince wasn't going to give her one. They were budget cutting. They really had nothing for her. They didn't really see anything in the women's division. It was pretty much done. And that's the part of the story that's always left out when people tell that story. She goes over to Nitro. She didn't even want to do the belt gimmick, but she did it anyway because she wanted the job. But I can't even necessarily blame her, because here she is in the middle of a push, and you just cut ties with her. We're not renewing your contract. You can go. But I have no other job. Well, tough shit. And there's no more women's division. It looks here on Survivor Series like we're building a whole brand new women's division. And instead, really, they're really just in for the week. They go do a Raw taping after this Survivor Series here, and that's it for all of the ladies. So when it looked like Aja Kong was going to be the next one in line to do the feud with Alundra Blaze, we don't get that at all. Obviously, she leaves, but we weren't going to get it anyway. And I felt like necessary to point that out.
Yeah, and I also seen it's extremely difficult to get your hands on it and actually get it. But there's a Royal Rumble 96 program. It's one of those oversized ones. And inside, I don't know if it's inside that program or if it's inside one of these magazines that I have from 96 that they do like a rundown of the card for Royal Rumble 96, and Alundra Blaze and Aja Kong is announced. It's a match that they were going to have at Royal Rumble.
That's what I always loved about the WWF magazines from that era, from the 80s and early 90s, even the mid 90s here, before they had to start hot shot booking and things to keep up with WCW, was Bruce Pritchard's mentioned this many a times. In order for a magazine to be published on time, they had to, it's not now, you can't just pump out a magazine overnight, throw together some pictures, type some shit up, print it out, and there you go, there's your magazine. These things took months back then, which is why pay-per-view matches were planned months in advance. In fact, I remember the Survivor Series 90, the magazine with all the original teams and things like that in it. The original pictures were taken prior to SummerSlam 90, which is why they had to go in and switch some guys out and Photoshop some things and do all these nonsensical horseshit things on that, why it looks so weird. But there's been so many magazines over those years where they promote matches that wind up not happening on the pay-per-views. I remember the original WrestleMania 8 card was very different than what it wound up being, at least the undercard anyway.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, and just looking at it, you're talking the December 90 magazine with Tornado on the cover. So they came out like a month. They came out like a month early. So if you subscribed, you got your December magazine in November, and so to speak. So you got them a little bit ahead of time, so you was able to see it and review it. But the results for Survivor Series was always in the February magazine, and WrestleMania results was in June, and then SummerSlam I think was in October or November, one of those two.
Right. It was always 3-month window there.
Yeah, so it definitely took a lot of time, effort, and energy to put those magazines out, and so you do get some little gems in there. I know, I think it's January '93 with Nails and Undertaker on the cover, where they shot that angle and then Nails goes and chokes out Vince or whatever the case may be and gets fired. So they teased it in the magazine and made it appear like that was what was going to happen. And I also know Bret and Hulk Hogan for SummerSlam.
Yeah, that was
kind of teased.
That was what Hogan. Well, that's what Hogan had promised before he decided to just go back on his word, as he's done so many times, brother. In fact, here in November of 95. Remember, we did the watch along for World War III. If you guys clearly already have the all access tier, you can go find the World War III watch along that we did as well. And it was at the beginning of the Battle Royal, not before the pay-per-view, not before they went out, but actually after the Battle Royal starts, that Hogan goes over to a referee, goes over to the Giant, alerts the people that need to know that, yeah, I'm not going out anymore, brother. I'm going to go out under the ropes. So Hogan called that audible after the match started. This is classic Hulk Hogan. You know, he promised if they gave him the belt when he came back that he'd drop it to Bret at SummerSlam. And then he decided, nah, brother, I'm not going to do that. But he did agree to drop it to the big monster Yokozuna at King of the Ring, as long as there was the bells and whistles with the fireball that to this day still really hasn't been explained. But it didn't really have to be explained. It's just a way to get the belt off Hogan. Couldn't do the job clean, brother, on the way out.
Nah. Why?
And Goldust has been in the company now, at least on TV wrestling, completely with that uppercut that Bammer sells anyway. He's been with the company about a month now. He hasn't gotten the different gold suit. This one was really creepy looking. You could really make things out in this particular outfit. Not that I'm trying, but it's there. It's there.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
This is, I think... Oh, go on, man.
I was just going to say, man, I was... so at this time, I was 9 years old. And I was thrown off by Goldust. I didn't know what to think. I was like, what the heck is this guy? Like, what is he doing? And he's definitely makes you uncomfortable a little bit, especially, I mean, if you're older, you probably get it. It's just a gimmick or whatever. But 9-year-old me is just thinking, man, what in the world is this guy doing? And he had some, for some reason, like, I don't know, it's weird with Goldust. He has some really good moments, some really good matches and things that I enjoy and are entertained by, and then he just does stuff that's completely ridiculous. Like, I can't stand his run with Luna. It's so over the top ridiculous that it's just a shame that Dustin Rhodes had to lower himself to some of that stuff. But what a gimmick. That's really all you could say. What a gimmick.
And I don't remember this match being a whole lot of good. In fact, a lot of Goldust's early stuff, I don't think it was Dustin's fault. It just wasn't really clicking. The match with Marty was not very good at all. It was pretty bad, in fact. The next night, the second match against Savio Vega on Raw, that was a step up, but you remember the finish where he kicked Savio in the arm? and then
Yeah.
did he pin him? Or no, he hooked him in a hammerlock and pinned him. It was... I think he was still trying to find the gimmick himself because he's quoting movies, but then, you know, he's bizarre and androgynous, as Vince loved to say. So I don't know. And I don't remember this match being very good either. And if I remember correctly, this is Bam Bam's last night with the company, or at least to my recollection, it is anyway. He's on his way out. As are so many people because of the Click. Adam Bombs just left, the Blue Twins, Ron and Don Harris, they've recently left. Jean-Pierre Lafitte, I don't believe he even returns from this hernia surgery. He's had issues with the Click in recent weeks. Just a bad time in the company backstage, not just financially, but when you have a group of people running roughshod over the locker room and trying to make the call of who should go and who should stay, who should be pushed, instead of just worrying about themselves. You know, that's one good thing you can say about guys like Hogan. They were so worried about themselves, they didn't have time to worry about the Rockers or the Hart Foundation or what Jake the Snake's doing with Ted DiBiase over here, brother. That's why we got all these. He understood, I need all these guys on the undercard. I need somebody to work. Whereas the Click just wanted to work one another.
Yeah, absolutely. For all of Hogan's faults, he's willing to keep people around if you make money with them, or if he thinks he can make money with them. He doesn't care who it is. He just wants to make money. And everybody says they looked at the lineup sheet and was praying they was on Hogan's card because that meant more money.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't hear that about very many people because, one, not many people drew like he did. And obviously it's a different business as the years gone on, but you never hear that about the Click or even Bret Hart or guys like that. It's just he just drew so much money and you wanted to be a part of it just because you was going to get paid too. And for all the faults that Hogan has, and we can have a whole podcast that's 3 hours long talking about his faults, it seems like if he made money with you, he wanted you around, and that's all that mattered to him. Or if he's going to protect him, he'd keep you around. He may not job to you, but he'll keep you around because he knows he trusts you and he can make money with you, or at least try to. And
I think the big issue. I think the big issue with that too is a lot of these guys that were main draws, they didn't have clicks. They were just themselves. So they needed those guys to work. Whereas the click, they can work one another. So why do we need any? Let's just have a click show every week. We've seen that with some of the 2-hour in your house programs because there's only enough room for all of them on the show from open to close, and that's pretty much all we get in some instances here. Got a little crazy at one point with them basically trying to run the roost of, well, okay, Sean can't keep the belt right now, so instead of giving the belt to Dean Douglas, let's put it on Razor. But then we'll put it on Sid, but then we won't put it on Sid. Let's change that last minute to a non-title match, which makes absolutely no sense on Raw. So just a lot of shenanigans by the Click here.
I couldn't work in that environment, man.
Well, a lot of these guys didn't. That's why you see this influx of talent, or not influx, but the opposite of
Exodus. The Exodus here.
Yeah.
I've worked in an environment where it's stressful every day. You go in, you just don't know if you're going to get let go or something like that. And I can just imagine you walk into a locker room and you see these 5 snarking and smiling and laughing and joking, and you have no idea if they're making fun of you or what they're doing, or if they're, we got that dude fired, he's going after tonight, shit like that. Like, that would get old real quick. And I guess the difference with the wrestling business compared to my job is a lot of these wrestlers can fend for themselves and take matters into their own hands, kind of like we've heard with the Blues Brothers, and I think even Lafitte, maybe. I think he tried something. I don't know. But they got fed up, and it's ridiculous that Vince would allow that to happen. I mean, he has the power to shut it down, and he didn't. And he damn near killed the company. 1, because financials were shit, and 2, the morale was probably worse than the financials, and you're just losing all this talent. You really don't have the money to buy new talent just yet, and now you got WCW breathing down your back. So like it was a combination. It was a recipe for disaster that they averted by people making dumb mistakes like WCW getting rid of Austin, and it took a while, but they hit pay dirt with The Rock, obviously. But man, it was looking rough there for quite a while.
Right. I think he was very much near bankruptcy or filing for bankruptcy right before things took off. So very, very lucky. And Goldust works the lamest chinlock of all time, as he didn't even have Bigelow's chin hooked whatsoever. It was very, very obvious. And it looks like Bam Bam might be trying to make the comeback here. We might be nearing the end of this match.
And it just looks like Bam Bam doesn't give a shit.
Well, and that goes back to Royal Rumble 93. You remember that was, I think Bossman worked another match on TV. It might have taped it before the Royal Rumble. I don't remember, but that match with Bam Bam was absolutely atrocious. Slow, boring, and methodical. And Bossman didn't look, and there's the Bulldog, and that should do it. And this is kind of Bam Bam's way out, so I don't think he cares a whole lot. I think he tried enough to give Dustin some things. Dustin gets the win with his old WCW move. The Bulldog, baby. That's my son Dustin. The fruit of my loins, baby. Talk about the American Dream's loins. I don't want to think about it, if you will.
I don't either. Like you pointed out earlier, you're seeing enough of Dustin's loins here. You don't need to talk about his dad's.
Oh, my. So Goldust gets the win. He remains an enigma at this point in time in the company. What is he? Who is he?
I think the gimmick, he hasn't figured out how to work in the ring with the gimmick that he has. As the natural, he can just go out there and put on a wrestling match.
Well, the story goes, he hadn't incorporated those homophobic spots into the matches until he worked that match. Was it with Savio or was it with Razor? I can't remember who it was, but somebody gave him the idea for that spot right before he went out. And he wasn't sold. He was like, I don't know if I should do that. And he goes out there and does it, and it gets such a huge response that, that's pretty much encouraged it to continue after that. Well, that's getting a response. We gotta keep doing that and maybe take it even further, obviously. And there were if you thought some of the things he did on TV were bad, I'll just put it this way. I once attended a house show where had he done any of that on TV, the company would no longer be on TV.
Wow. Glad I didn't go see Goldust in the house.
I wish I could tell you that what the match was. I really don't remember it. I remember it being a cage match. It was a tag team match. It was Goldust, and I think it was during that Mankind stint where he was kind of hanging out with Mankind. And I don't know who the hell they were wrestling. But during their entrance, it was a very lengthy entrance. They were in the ring, and Goldust gets down on his back, lays on his back in the middle of the ring with the spotlight on him, and begins feeling his junk and rubbing up and down his body and rubbing up all over his junk and just rubbing his hands everywhere, basically having sex with himself. It was very uncomfortable. There were a lot of kids in the crowd, and I remember going there with my cousin, my female cousin, and we looked at each other like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it was a whole new level that we had never experienced before. And I know everybody ups their game as far as their character at the house shows. They may not necessarily work as hard, wrestle as hard, try as much nonsense in the ring to get injured, but you hear more profanity. Their character, they have a little more fun. They take liberties. They do some comedy maybe. And in this instance, he probably went just a little too far with the character of Goldust on this particular house show that I went to.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad I didn't see that, man.
Yeah,
Holy.
it was as uncomfortable as you could, if you can picture it, as uncomfortable as it can be. That's how bad it got. Like we were literally looking at each other like, I can't believe that he's doing this on a wrestling show. It belonged nowhere near. Even if it wasn't, family friendly, it was like, this isn't what I came here to see.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh my God. I completely forgot that Mabel pinned the Undertaker. That blew my mind when this happened. And it all stemmed from a kick from Kama. It always drove me nuts. Kama comes in and kicks the Undertaker. And then Mabel gets the win there. And he's King Mabel. And that's how we get here. They really hadn't played up the feud so much up until, here we go. Is this the 6-man tag? This was the Bill Watts booked 6-man where Mabel and Yokozuna basically just murder the Undertaker with like 46 leg drops to the face here. There's no way they show all of them. They don't have time. I mean, they just crush, supposedly this is where the Undertaker suffers the crushed orbital bone. It's really not. It takes place during a house show match, but the timing made it sweet because they could use this as the reason, and you completely bought it.
Yeah, absolutely. I never bought Mabel. I just thought he was terrible. I mean, he was horrendous.
And that's what we have here. It's the Royals. So Jerry the King Lawler is teaming with King Mabel. Of course, Triple H, the aristocrat here, so he's kind of royalty of sorts. And then the court dentist, maybe, I guess, Dr. Isaac Yankem joins the team, of course, because he's aligned with Jerry Lawler. So I guess it all ties together.
It all ties together for this team. And the other team, I guess they're in the feuds with these guys. I don't know what Savio's doing. I don't know who he's feuding with on this team. But Taker, obviously, with Mabel, Isaac and Lawler, maybe they're feuding with Savio. I don't know. They're kind of just there. They're just thrown in. And then Hunter and obviously Godwin are feuding. So that makes sense. But it's kind of cool looking at it now. It's the BSK here for him. And I guess they'll always have this match, huh?
Yeah, the only thing missing is Kama on the opposing team, I guess.
Thankfully for that,
King Mabel makes his way. I used to feel bad for the jobbers that had to carry him out to the ring. I can't imagine what that felt like on the shoulder, on the trap area. It had to have been severe pain. Just every step. You ever carry something really heavy and you keep trying to figure out how many steps or how long is it going to be before I can finally sit this down? And they had to have been counting every step on their way to the ring. Like, oh my God. Oh, we're halfway. We're 3/4 of the way. And here we come. It's the Dark Side team. Savio Vega, Henry O. Godwin. That's Hog, because he's a hog farmer. And we got Fatu backing him up. He's trying to make a difference right now. He hasn't
He
quite
also
met.
has that PSK hat on there. If you look at it, the initials are right there across the forehead.
Oh, sure is. Trying to make a difference, BSK style. Fatu to the ring.
It's time to make a change. I would have been interested to see the feud or what they would have planned. I know they had, what was it, Sammy and Silk from ECW come out and kind of watch him a few times from a distance.
Yeah, the drug dealers. Yeah, they were drug dealers. They wanted Fatu to come back and deal drugs. Without saying it, that's basically what was going on there.
Yeah,
hey, man, come back to the gang. Come back to the gang, man. It's
Yeah,
like, weren't these guys fucking head shrinkers a few years ago? Weren't they like tribal wild men eating like carcasses of animals and things? And now they're drug pushers. So amazing what America has done to those who come over here. I don't know. But Fatu, he's trying to tell everybody to walk the straight and narrow. This is obviously before he becomes the Sultan.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what they were thinking about that.
I don't either. It'd been cool to see that, though. I would have been interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, what does that go? 1 or 2 weeks before they're just back off the WWF TV and just in ECW is the Samoan Gangsta Party?
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is the return of The Undertaker. We haven't seen him on TV since he suffered that fractured orbital bone, and he'll be wearing a mask. It's really a protective mask just to keep him safe here for the next little while until it gets ripped off. What is it, the Royal Rumble maybe?
It's still there at Royal Rumble.
Well, and it's in a match with, isn't it a match with Bret, I think, is when it gets ripped off, isn't it? I don't remember. I'm thinking.
Maybe. It could be, yeah.
But this is Undertaker. So we haven't seen his face since the injury. So we're all going to see the mask for the very first time here. And it's going to shock the hell out of Mabel.
I always liked the mask. I thought it was cool. It fit the Undertaker. They have a box right now. I don't know if it's still available or not. They're limited editions, like $750 on the WWE shop. I don't want to plug them, but it's on there. And you get you get like a replica of this mask inside it. Pretty cool.
I don't remember who it was. Somebody dressed up as this version of The Undertaker, I think for Halloween. I don't remember if it was Zelina Vega or Sasha Banks, but they had the mask and everything. They were, well, their version of the mask. So, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they all dressed up as The Undertaker as a special tribute photo shoot for him, if I remember right. I didn't look at it, but...
And since The Undertaker's on his way to the ring, I guess now's a good time to do a timestamp count because it takes him forever. So we're at 1 hour and 5 minutes and 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Steve. I just wanted to get that in. These Undertaker intros. They're the best time to do anything. I could have turned the audio on and took a piss and nobody would have known the difference. So I'll have to remember that in the future anytime we do an Undertaker match.
Yeah,
the lights are coming on. We're going to get... Oh, go on, man. I'm just going to get a look here at the mask.
Oh, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. I was just going to say to go back to your Mabel thing. I'm a pretty tall guy, like 6'4", and I don't know. To those who like to go ride roller coasters or rides like that at like Kings Island or something, the Delirium, I don't know if you've ever rode it, but they strap it over your shoulder. And like I said, I'm pretty tall and there's like a height limit on these and you got to snap it in a certain amount of times or you can't really ride it. So I was on it and it's like, it's your birthday. So I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling comfortable. It was fine. And then all of a sudden there's like number 23, it's your birthday. And they come over and push that damn harness in one more time.
Here we go.
And it felt like classic sell job by Mabel there. But it felt like 900 pounds just strapped to my arms. And the ride's like 3 minutes. And I'm just sitting there like, please get me off this ride. So I'm sure that's how they felt. Probably 10 times worse carrying his big ass to the ring on that carriage. I couldn't imagine.
And I don't know what they got for that $250, $500 payday. I guess in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to pay me, a few $100 for 3 minutes of work, I mean, I guess, there's maybe tougher things out there to do. But
I can go get a massage for like $30 and be good,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it can't be fun, but
no.
They never seem to drop him, at least not on purpose. Or, I mean, not on accident.
Could you imagine if they dropped him?
That would be the end of a lot of things. Vince would not be pleased either.
Could
Got
you
the
imagine?
Mohawk. The Mohawk's completely out this week.
And he goes down. Oh my God.
Yeah, somebody's getting injured if Mabel falls off the sedan there, the throne on the way to the ring. If he lands on somebody, they're dead. If he lands, just smacks the ground, he's probably injured himself. That's a big guy to be taking a fall even from that height.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they had like 6 guys carrying him. I mean, if you go back and look at to be honest, man, that thing looks so uncomfortable. I don't care who's on it. It looked uncomfortable to be carried out there with like Macho and Sherry sitting on it.
Sure.
And they didn't even have anything on their elbows or on their shoulders. Like, give me a towel or something just to kind of rest it on there. Don't just whatever the hell it is, like a 2x4 probably, to put it together. Just a piece of wood on your shoulders to carry 350 pounds.
Fatu tells Triple H there to kiss his ass. He's going to regret that later because he no longer has a job with the company. These two fought each other in one of the In Your Houses over the fall. I don't remember if it was the September or October version of the In Your House pay-per-view, but they kicked off one of the pay-per-views, had a fun match. Someone with a sign with the F-bomb even made the show during that particular match, if I remember correctly. Looking for the pedigree early, but he's in the wrong corner and sees the Undertaker, decides against it.
So this is it for Fatu as well?
No, I just meant he's no longer with the company now, like because he told it was a joke.
Oh, no,
can't be telling your future boss to kiss your ass was my whole joke.
Oh no, well, everybody else is leaving after this show, so I was just curious if Fatu was one of them.
Well, he never really seems to leave. I mean, they keep finding something new for him, and rightfully so. He was a hell of a talent. I was so happy he continued to stick around. I wasn't happy with the Sultan run. He could have left during that period, and I wouldn't have really gave a flying you-know-what. Triple H wanted no part of Henry Godwinn. Henry Godwinn is a big boy, and Triple H wanted no part of him. They're in the middle of just getting going on their feud. Jerry Lawler wants no part of him, but the heel team distracts him, and there's Kane, the future Kane, Isaac Yankem taking advantage. So think about this for a second. In 95, he's Isaac Yankem. In 96, he's the new Diesel. And in 97, he's just debuted as Kane. So 3 Survivor Series in a row, 3 gimmicks in a row for Glenn Jacobs here. Mayor Glenn Jacobs.
He's trying. He's trying to do something to get over. Obviously, with his size, he's going to get every opportunity he can to get himself over or find the right gimmick. And talk about hitting pay dirt. Kane was it, and just a awesome gimmick, and he made it work. Usually, you only have room for one of those guys like that, and obviously, you're trying to level up with the Undertaker. But Kane held his own, and I thought he did an excellent job with it.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I can't agree more. They recently, I don't really know the name of the show or whatever. It just came out. They've been doing that 30 Days of Undertaker stuff, and they recently came out with a sit-down interview, just Kane and Taker out on the stage talking to each other, and they really address Kane's evolution from Unabomb, where the Undertaker first wrestled him in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, to Isaac Yankem. They kind of touch on Diesel, but not really, and then they talk about Kane and how it took that long to hang in there and really give it a go. But Taker says how upset he was when he found out that Vince was going to make him a dentist, because he had wrestled Jacobs in Smoky Mountain during the Unabomb gimmick. So he thought he was just going to come in and be a great opponent. And Vince goes, yeah, we're going to make him a dentist. And I don't remember if it was Taker or Kane that tells the story that Vince had held that idea forever because it had been a Bobby Heenan idea that had been pitched to Vince years ago. We need a dentist. All the jokes that Bobby Heenan could do on commentary. And so Bobby Heenan's long gone by this point, though, as Vince finally found his dentist, a 6'9", at least 6'9", maybe taller. Glenn Jacobs gets the dentist gimmick, and I still don't get it.
I mean, I guess the story with the kiss my foot match, I mean, I guess it makes sense in that sense, but man, talk about ruining somebody before they even get on TV.
Well, it was odd because Vince loved his monsters. He never really gimmicked his monsters unless it was a monster gimmick. And this was maybe the first monster that came in and just got handed one of those 9-to-5 jobs. Like, you're a dentist. We found our dentist, pal. Ha ha!
Bobby's going to get a kick out of this. Oh, Lord.
Waller in the wrong corner.
It would be cool as hell if Bobby Heenan was doing the commentary, because you know he's going to come up with some good content. And clearly, nobody in WWF at this time had the talent to come up with the jokes to get some heat on him a little bit.
But let's be honest, though. Jokes aside, he wasn't going to get over beyond the jokes. He was never going to be a threat to the Undertaker. So
no, absolutely not.
Here's Fatu in there with the King. I think, is it Fatu that takes the pile driver? No, it's Savio, I think, that takes the pile driver during this match and no-sells it. I really didn't understand what was going on there when they do that. I didn't know. Did he push off? Was he supposed to push off as he was landing so he didn't connect? Or I remember that spot from this match. It hasn't happened yet, but. And the story to this match is we'll just call him the BSK instead of the Dark Side. Basically, everybody but the Undertaker is tagging in. They're holding their own. They're wrestling the heel side. And we go on a pretty good amount of time here, 10 minutes or so, I want to say. It seems like, anyway, into the match before we finally see the Undertaker tag in. And I won't spoil the rest of the match for you, but it gets very entertaining from that point. But I thought a lot of these guys were doing a great job just doing the fast tags. Just, oh my God, what a boss man slam from Mabel there.
Mabel was pretty.
Oh, yeah. That should have been his finish, man. That looked beautiful.
Yeah, it did. It's amazing some of the stuff that he can do, and his laydown moves where he lays flat like that, he always looked good doing those. Like his belly-to-belly slam, it always looked so clean and crisp for his size. And
it was everything in between. Look at that. Oh, my God. Wow. Launched Savio across the entire ring.
Talk about some terrible gimmicks.
Are you talking about Quang?
No, well, that too, I guess, if you want to. I enjoy Quang. But
I enjoy Quang for other reasons. Quang was cool in my book.
Oh, yeah.
Savio in the wrong part of town.
Lawler doing his cheap heat there, his cheap offense that he's probably about as good as he's good for. Look at that drop kick.
Lawler was solid. Such a fucking talent on the microphone and just wrestling the psychology. I got to have the pleasure of watching a lot of Lawler's stuff, not in Memphis as a kid, but in Dallas, because Jerry Jarrett had purchased the Dallas promotion back in, the tail end of 88 or something along those lines. So Lawler would come in, and it was on ESPN all the time. 4 days a week, AWA was on once, and then the other 4 days were typically the USWA, the Dallas version. And you basically saw Lawler wrestle everyone that came through either the Dallas territory or the Memphis territory that went down to Dallas. So I got to see Lawler versus the Dog, Lawler versus Kerry Von Erich, Lawler versus... He was basically the main event almost every day of the week. So Lawler versus Eddie Gilbert, Lawler versus Terry Funk, and all the local guys too. So he was a heel down there in Dallas when he was basically a baby face up in Memphis. So it was fun watching him, though, play the heel there. And then when he came to the WWF, I couldn't have been more excited. Unfortunately, it was the tail end of his career in the ring. But you can't tell him that because he's still working today.
Yeah, he just had his 50th anniversary in wrestling. Yeah, here's your spot you was talking about.
Yeah, here we go. Never really understood. Now, he hits it clearly. I think this is it. I know somebody pops up from the pile driver. No, it's got to still be coming then. There's one, maybe it's Fatu. Maybe it's the hard head cell. I don't remember. I know he hits a pile driver, and they sit up out of it, and Lawler looks shocked, and they crawl over and hot tag. And I don't know if they hot tag Taker or they hot tag somebody else, but I know they wind up making a hot tag. I swear I'm not making this up, Steve.
Oh, I believe you, man. I'm looking for it now. But yeah, Lawler, there was nobody hotter in wrestling when he came in and potatoed Bret Hart at King of the Ring and started that feud. It's just unfortunate those accusations came down and he basically lost pretty much all momentum that he had built, and it never really regained that heat and that fire
right
that he initially had. And
rock bottom, Savio Vega with the Uranagi there. Very cool. Triple H takes the first WWF rock bottom.
There's a history lesson for you, or a trivia question anyway. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for Lawler.
But I once watched Lawler work a house show match with the British Bulldog. Probably the most boring match I had ever seen live. Just headlocks galore. The entire. Here it is. Here we go. This is the spot. Boom. I didn't understand what happened there. Like, I still don't understand what's supposed to happen there. I see Lawler let him go on the way down so he can pop up from it, but I just don't. Did he connect? Did he miss it? Like, did Savio push off and land on his knees? I still don't get it, but there's the hot tag to Taker, and it's business. Business is picking up now, to quote JR. Business is about to pick up. Lawler gets tossed back by the Undertaker. And I think we're going to start seeing some eliminations here for those wondering, when the hell is somebody going to go out? Nobody wants to tag in. The other two heels drop off the apron, but Mabel's too large for that shit. So he's just like, nah, I'm just going to turn away. And Lawler turns around. Here we go. Elimination number 1. Where's the hard camera? Boom. Right there it is. Great bump. Great spot. 1, 2, 3. And out goes the king.
And there's your first real clean look at the mask there. Phantom of the Opera mask. I will say, man, this match, there's a lot of stiffs over there on the heel side. Like, Yankum and Lawler isn't going to give you a whole lot in the short time that he's there, and then Mabel. But this is very fast-paced and on it. Like, all these Survivor Series matches are just super fast. And
boom.
They know how to do the matches and make it work.
1, 2, 3, and there goes Kane. Beat him that easy. In two years' time, he'd have a lot of trouble beating Kane. Oh, Triple H doesn't want to be part of this. I love that. This is great. This spot here with Triple H as he tries to run away. I don't know if you remember this, what happens here or not.
It's been a minute, but yes.
Oh. Henry Godwin isn't letting him get in. Nobody's going to let Triple H run away from here. He's got the slop bucket. And I guess Triple H would rather face The Undertaker than eat the slop. Maybe he'll change his mind here after this awesome spot. Choke slam into the middle of the ring.
Just awesome.
Down goes Triple H. And 1, 2, 3. And just like that, it's down to the dark side. All 4 members versus King Mabel. And right away, belly to belly.
Look how good that is, man. It's such a good move. For him, anyway.
And there's the move that supposedly crushed The Undertaker's face. The big leg drop. And I'd buy that from a 500-pound. Mabel doing a little dancing. And here we go. This is great. Undertaker sits up while Mabel's dancing. I love that. Another great visual from these guys.
Absolutely.
And Mabel doesn't want any more of it. And he can't even get his ass gets stuck on the middle rope, and he has to roll out under the bottom. And now Mo gets in the ring so Mabel can get away, but now Mo's the one in trouble.
Mabel has to go take a shit.
We get a choke slam on Mo. Mabel runs Triple H back there. There's the choke slam. Fatu jumps over Mo. Woohoo! I meant to do that. And the entire dark side survived this fun. It was a fun match. Was it a great wrestling match? No, but one thing these guys have in common, all 3 of these guys in the Undertaker's team, they're all very big guys. They were all very good workers, especially Fatu and Savio as far as being a lot faster than they might look based on their size. They were really, really good. And I enjoyed babyface Henry Godwin, at least prior to the Godwin tag team anyway. Heel Henry Godwin, not so much. Very boring. I remember when he and Duke Drosy were both new to the company, and they had a match against one another at another house show I attended. And the boring chants did not stop from bell to bell. I literally watched that match and thought to myself, neither one of these guys, there's no way either one of these guys make it a year, with the company. The business had certainly changed by that point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty crazy to think like somebody like Henry Godwinn, you don't really think much of him, but, best friends with Undertaker. He's, from what I heard, like maybe 10 years ago, Hunter was trying to get him a job again to come out and just bring him back and work a little bit because he's really good friends with Hunter. And I think last night at the farewell, when Hunter came in, he gave Henry a big hug. And
I noticed a few guys did that with Henry, more so than some of the other guys standing in the ring. It was very obvious, and Triple H was one of them. They really seemed extremely happy to see him. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see his name pop up with some type of a job in the future, if that's something he's even interested in. Probably not right now with the COVID thing going on. They've recently fired damn near all of their agents, so I'm not sure what they would have in mind for him. But I wouldn't mind seeing him back. He was a fun, talented worker. I even enjoyed him as Shanghai Pierce in the WCW.
Yeah, I did too. I hate to say it again, but he's definitely a little bit underrated. Like he worked it. He believed in his gimmick and he worked it. And he really elevated Triple H, I thought, with that feud and the slop match, and then the hog pen match and things like that.
I felt like they really cut his legs out from under him by sticking him with Phineas because they had been a tag team in WCW, Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce. So they reunite here as the Godwins in the WWF. But if you think about it, Henry Godwinn's babyface run it didn't even go 6 months before Phineas was introduced. So we didn't get a whole lot beyond the Triple H feud. So that was just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, for Henry Godwinn. And he was still entertaining during the tag team matches with Phineas, but I didn't care at all for Phineas. And so in general, it ruined it for me. So, and then they got stuck working with teams and things that weren't necessarily someone on the level of a Triple H. So kind of hindered the rest of Henry Godwinn's career in the WWF, I suppose.
And then they get strapped with Jeff Jarrett. I thought they looked great at Southern Justice, but
I didn't understand how they explained that. But
I didn't either. Yeah. they cleaned up nice. I'll say that.
Yeah. It was the name change that threw me off. I think had they just kept the names and changed them up, well, okay, I guess I can buy this. But when they just randomly had new names, but they were the former Godwins at the same time, I'm like, how are you explaining this? As we watch Bret and Diesel, last final minute thoughts before their match later here tonight for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. That match is no time limit, no disqualification, no count out. There must be a winner. And here's Todd Pettengill backstage now with the other side of the Wild Card team. Once again, just the heels once again. Earlier, it was Dean Douglas, Yokozuna and Owen Hart, who will team with Razor Ramon. This time, it's Sid and Bulldog, and they're going to team with Shawn Michaels and the recently debuted Ahmed Johnson, who's been nothing but impressive in his couple weeks with the company, slamming Yokozuna and then destroying that jobber, that Jake Steele, in recent weeks on TV. So we haven't seen a whole lot of Ahmed yet, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he fits in here in a match that goes damn near 30 minutes. Here we go. You knew Shawn had to get a promo in before we got to the match.
Oh, of course. And Todd's giving Jim Cornette shit for being with the other team earlier. So, yeah, you knew who was winning this one.
And it's back to the ring.
Going into it.
So this is the wild card match, and this idea, I think, was given by Cowboy Bill Watts. Bill Watts actually booked the matches, or at least most of the matches, for this pay-per-view, and this was his idea, to just shake things up, and random guys are going to end up teaming with random guys, and baby faces teaming with heels, and this is what we wind up with. Of course, Bill Watts quits after one taping because he was told he would have complete control of the company, and at least the wrestling aspect of the company, and Vince McMahon was going to handle the business aspect of the company. Of course, that's not what happens whatsoever. And Bill Watts, he's not one to shit around and wait. He's been in the business a very long time. He knows when he's being bullshitted. So he's out of the company as quick as he's in the company. So unfortunately, he's already gone well before Survivor Series ever even makes the air.
Yeah, I was very intrigued with this match. I was like, man, how are they going to get along and things like that. And it was just so unique, so different, and very cool. And this, outside of the world title match, this is the one match that I was looking forward to the most on this card, and I could not wait to see it.
There's a few botches in this match. I don't even know if some of them are botches. They all felt like botches to me, and me and my brother would, even to this day, we still make fun of some of the things that take place in this match where guys kind of no-sell things when guys are ad-libbing. The other guy's like, I'm not selling that, or other things that happen that just seem off. So you get that dynamic, too, where guys haven't really worked with one another in the ring because they're both heels or they're both faces, and so they haven't really worked well enough with each other to really understand what's going on when they're both in the ring together. And it's kind of a fun dynamic and another additional thing to this match. But I haven't seen this pay-per-view in 20 years at least, probably longer. But I remember being impressed with the visual of all these guys. You know, you're going to see matches you don't get to see otherwise in the ring. And then I remember Ahmed Johnson, he probably doesn't do a whole lot here, but I remember coming out of this, I think he slams Yoko here again, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But there's Razor with the intro. Razor on the same team as Shane Douglas. I don't know. Maybe just to keep an eye on him.
Hard telling. I mean, who else you gonna put there?
Well, it's no shocker that we have to have a member of the. Yeah, and it's no shocker we had to have a member of the Clique on both sides of the ring here.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course,
my guy.
Davey Boy Smith turned heel just going into SummerSlam, and right away, man, they stuck him on Raw. I mean, they were really trying to get him over quick as a top heel, sticking him in the ring with the Undertaker on Raw against Razor Ramon on Raw. He had some big matches. He wrestled Diesel at the October In Your House pay-per-view, and that wasn't so good. But again, they are making him a credible top heel by giving him top of the line opponents week after week on TV.
They're doing their best, and I'm interested. I would have been interested to see what they would have done at the end of SummerSlam. Lex Luger comes out, and you don't know which sides he's on. I'd have been interested to see that. That'd have been pretty cool.
Psycho Sid on his way down for the opposing team, the team with the Bulldog. And Razor obviously has some issues he wants to settle here with Sid and the $1 Million Corporation. So I think I'll pay a little more attention to that story during this match. I don't know that I did back then, but it's maybe something I'll pay attention to here, see if it really looks like Razor really wants Adam, or if they're just going through the motions and having a tag team match.
Yeah, I mean, Sid and Razor, you got Owen and Shawn, Ahmed and Yoko, I guess. Razor and Shane are on the same team, but that's that feud there. I don't know.
Let's. I think Ahmed's on next. Let's take a listen to his entrance. I'm curious to see what the fans sound like.
Ahmed Johnson!
Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, the man who body slammed Yokozuna, a man on a meteor rise here in the World Wrestling Federation, and this man is all business. Ahmed Johnson.
You don't see this guy high-fiving. He is so focused. I guarantee you, Ahmed Johnson has got one thing on his mind, and that is to survive, as he has his entire life. One way or the other, that's what he wants to do right here tonight.
Wow. A very, very impressive individual, Ahmed Johnson.
He's as big as a house, big man.
He is. He's huge.
He's got the double garage to go with it. Oh, that's his nose.
Ahmed Johnson. Who has what?
Oh, Mr. Perfect. Gonna get us kicked off the air.
Bring back Teddy Long. What is that?
I don't even know. It's one of those time travel photos. Remember, you see those from time to time. One of the ones floating around right now is somebody swears in an 1860 picture. Some lady's holding a cell phone. She time traveled, or whatever. So maybe maybe somebody time traveled back to Survivor Series 95. They want Teddy Long back in the WWF.
You want to hear a pop? Shawn Michaels right here gets a massive pop.
Let's check it out.
The most Brazilian, the most
Oh my God! Did you hear Vince? Fuck the fans, man! Did you hear Vince when Shawn was dancing behind there and coming out? Oh yeah, look at him gyrate!
Oh man, if the crowd didn't pop, Vince sure as hell was. My God,
yeah, that was
popped something. You know, he popped something. Good
yes,
night.
yes, he did.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, Shawn Michaels. I love Shawn Michaels.
That's absolutely right. And I always loved Mr. Perfect getting jealous like almost immediately. Like, this dude has nothing on me, McMahon. Sit down.
Sit down. I believe Vince was standing. You know, they tell Vince, stop dancing, stop doing this. Sometimes he's obviously not even doing it. But when you tell Vince to sit down during a Shawn Michaels introduction, I totally believe Vince is standing up, maybe on the table. Where's he at? I got to get another look at him. Where's that Shawn Michaels?
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
The boyhood dream. Is he talking about Shawn's boyhood dream or Vince's boyhood? It's become a reality. Yeah.
It almost makes you think is like Shawn is what Vince wants to be when he grows up. Like he wants to be Shawn Michaels, but he can't. It's so weird. It's bizarre now. Back then, I never picked up on it, but recently it's something I've noticed, and it's bizarre.
It's so odd that we're in Landover, Maryland, and they're selling it on the screen as Washington, D.C. Obviously, they even have the imposter Bill Clinton here. But back in the day when they were coming from here, this is the old Cap Center. They would bill it as Landover, Maryland. But here in 1995, this is Washington, D.C., buddy. I don't know that you can do that. I don't know. Maybe in Vince McMahon's world, you can just change cities, change states. Yeah. Do whatever you want.
Everything. Wow.
We won't just make up the number of people at the event. We'll just change the fucking city, pal. How about that? Now go make me a turkey sandwich. Turkey sandwich light on the mustard. Yeah. That's how I like it.
Oh, man. I will say, though, to get back to this match
yes.
a little bit, after Ahmed slammed Yoko, I was so pumped. That's another reason why I was so pumped for this match, was just to see Ahmed just more in the ring with actual name guys.
Right.
To see what he can do, because like you mentioned on the Warfare show, that I bought in immediately. As soon as he came out and slammed Yoko, I was in. Like, I want to see more. I want to see what this guy has, and this is really your first opportunity.
Well, he came in at a perfect time. It wasn't, and they could have thrown him into another match like the Underdogs match or something like that. Not necessarily he's an underdog, but just to get his feet wet with,
just destroy everybody.
Yeah, and instead he starts right off with the big names. I mean, Yokozuna and Owen, even and Razor Ramon over there as well, working another babyface. Shawn skins the cat. Oh, yeah, here it comes. No, he's going to take Owen out. I just love when Ricky Steamboat did that. Shawn looking for a plancha, but Cornette's in the way, so... Hey, turn around, Corny. Oh, Shawn ducks 5 seconds early. Or Cornette swings 5 seconds late. Take your pick. Oh, Cornette gets a tennis racket to the ass for his troubles.
Of course, Shawn had to start after that entrance, and nobody else could have. Give them what they want, right?
There's that beautiful belly-to-belly throw from Owen Hart. Shane Douglas in the ring now. This is another funny thing I'll point out here once we're a few minutes into the match, but Shane Douglas in there, what terrible gear, an exclamation point on his back. I know he didn't pick this gear out, but dear God, what was someone thinking? You look around the ring, and you have to think someone like Ahmed Johnson did pick that gear out. Like he said, listen up, G, this is what I'm wearing. And Vince's like, yeah, you wear that. That looks great. But nobody's telling Yokozuna like what color thong to wear or Shawn Michaels how to have his gear designed. Instead, Shane Douglas is handed this stuff and told, this is what you're wearing, buddy. And, forearm early on by Shawn. You better hold your moves off, buddy. You got like 25 minutes out here.
I'm surprised he hasn't tagged out yet, to be honest with you.
Well, it's Shawn Michaels. He's not going to tag out. Are you kidding me?
Well, he is in there with Shane Douglas.
But who's on top? See.
The rumor is he was afraid of Shane. So.
Well, Shane started that rumor.
Well, I'm sure he did.
I told that Shawn Michaels, you don't fuck with the ranch fries.
That's my boy, though. Man, I love me some Shane Douglas.
We're only a couple months away from the ranch fries or the franchise returning to the ECW. It's hard to think that. Nice moonsault by Shawn Michaels there. As Shane's one and only move was to take Shawn down and let Shawn hit a moonsault on him. So, Ahmed in. Nice backdrop on Owen. Owen will make anyone look like $1 million. Ahmed with a Booker T scissor kick. I forgot he'd used that move. He's
using the wrong leg.
Well, you tell him that. I'm not gonna.
He went for it and kicked Owen right in the face.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, man, it's really cool to see him in here with these guys. I wish we could have seen a little more of this type of stuff with Ahmed working guys like Yoko, the bigger guys. I mean, I could have seen Yoko really putting him over right before turning babyface. It wouldn't have taken away from Yoko at that point because he would have went face. So I know it wasn't in the cards. It was short notice with Vader randomly just signing and coming in and doing the Rumble spot and everything, but just a really cool dynamic to this match, and leave it to Bill Watts to just try to come up with something different. What is the WWF not doing? Well, they're not having good storylines, so they're not having good angles. They're not having good matches. Well, some of the guys are having good matches, but overall.
Yeah, and this was so different than what you normally saw in WWF that you can easily do it, and it's going to be different. I mean, he just put a good guy with bad guys and a couple bad guys with good guys and threw them out there. Like, it's very basic, very by the book, and it's nothing. It's not like earth shattering or anything like that. It's just WWF was so cookie cutter.
Look at Razor playing a heel there. Razor's assisting Shane Douglas. Wow, that was kind of cool. No, I agree with you, man.
And it just sticks out. And I still remember this match fondly, as if I just watched it on pay-per-view. And that's how big this match stuck out. It was the wild card match. Anything could happen. Buddies are fighting buddies. Bad guys are fighting bad guys. And it was just booked the way it needed to be booked. And 25 years later, here we are. I still remember it. And it's not that it's a great match. It's just it was so different for its time that you got excited for it. And you remember those moments.
Is he covering there? Where the hell is the referee? Is that Tim White? Tim White, get down there and do your job. I mean, he's going to press Shawn Michaels on the Dean Douglas here. Oh, Tim White gets down for Shawn Michaels, though. Tim White gets on his knees for Shawn Michaels. Nobody better do that, not me. Nobody does that but me. Shane wisely rolls out of the ring. And what happens? It's the other Click member to make sure he gets back in there and does the job properly for his boy. I'm assuming that's what's coming up here. The old O'Connor roll. Shane rolls through. 2. That looked like 3 to me. I don't know. Razor hits his own teammate, the Click double team Shane Douglas, and he's gone. 7.5 minutes into the match or so.
They just made him look like a bitch. You knew that was happening.
And I'll give you a little spoiler here, too, just so you have an idea of what's coming up here. Shane Douglas was eliminated. I'm going to look this up real quick. Shane Douglas was eliminated at 7.5 minutes into the match. The next elimination in the entire match doesn't take place for another 9 minutes, almost. So it's like, let's get him out early, and then we'll have our real match. That's how the Click booked this. At least that's the way it comes off, anyway.
Yeah, because it was only really Click guys in there. Shawn was with him. Razor did his spot with him. And, we're going to make him look like a complete idiot, and then we're going to get him out of here. And
well, you know, Shawn was cool with Sid. I would imagine at this point, Shawn's okay with Ahmed. He probably sees dollar signs there. I don't think he's going to have issues with Yokozuna. They're buddies with Bulldog. Bulldog was at the bar with him when the thugs attacked. So all of Sean's buddies are really in there besides Shane Douglas, who's the odd man out. And that's that goes back to the old Survivor, what is that, 88 Survivor Series? With the Bulldogs and the Rougeaus. That feud had been going on where Jacques had knocked Dynamite's teeth out and things like that. And that was the Bulldogs' last night in the company. And they were afraid they were going to try something. So the Bulldogs, or the Rougeaus, go out very early in that. The match goes like 40 minutes. But the Rougeaus go out extremely early compared to everyone else in the entire match. And that's just to make sure they're gone and the Bulldogs don't try anything. And it's like Shane gets out of there early, so Shane can't try anything, it seems like to me. Or maybe so Sean can't try anything. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, this is what you get in 95, 96 WWF until at least Hall and Nash get out of town, and even Pac once he leaves. So it's just what you're dealing with.
I have to wonder, and it's complete speculation, but it's obviously there at the same time. I know you don't know everything about the old territory system, but I'm sure you've heard stories and you know a little bit about Cowboy Bill Watts. He was a no-nonsense guy, and he wasn't going to take shit from anyone, even Vince McMahon, clearly. And you have to imagine these guys knew from... Shawn Michaels had worked there as a job guy in Mid-South. And you had in Nash and Hall had worked for Watts in WCW. So these guys know Bill Watts. They know he's not going to put up with their shit. They're not going to run the show with Bill Watts in charge. I wonder if they had anything at all to do with Vince maybe trying to maintain a little control, at least over certain guys. And, you know, with Watts leaving, I'm curious. I'm sure he spoke about it himself, Bill Watts has, because he's done a variety of shoots and things like that. But I'm curious to his take on the Click or whatever was going on. He wasn't there very long, so I don't know that he has a lot to talk about. It's Razor Ramon getting ready to Razor's Edge Shawn Michaels. Somebody better break this up, because if Shawn kicks out of this, I'm pissed. All right, there you go. Where you go, Ahmed? Do your job.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder if, like, man, we've worked for this guy before. We're not going to be able to do anything. We got to get Vince back.
Well, one thing they weren't going to do, they weren't going to sway Bill Watts to do what they wanted him to do. Bill Watts was going to do what he wanted to do. That was very, very obvious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it's just a clash of heads there that probably never came to the head just because Watts was gone after, one taping? So, yeah, I mean, that would have been interesting. Talk about, you have one guy that does his way and the other guys that do it their way, and it was going to head on collision. You knew that's where that was going to go. And
yeah, I think we briefly touched on it.
Vince is on the side with the money,
right? I think we touched on it briefly with the Monday Warfare as the two Click members crack heads there. We briefly touched on one of the Monday Warfare shows. Imagine a Bill Watts booked WrestleMania card. That would have been very intriguing. I would have really loved to have seen just one of those.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Because he knows how to dig out those. He can do storylines and get emotion and build up the culmination. Like, you can't wait to see it. Like, Bret and Shawn had a decent story going into it, but just imagine that match with like a Bill Watts angle or two in there to really get some heat on it. That would have been tremendous, and it probably would have made it better as an Iron Man match, in my estimation.
Bill Watts was always for the realism of a storyline. It wasn't so much, well, I'm mad at you, so we're feuding now. There was always some kind of personal conflict, which there really should be. It draws the fans in, and it really intrigues you. You know, you go all the way back to the old Freebirds blinding the dog angle. The Freebirds were public enemy number one to the fans down there, which Jim Cornette went on record many, many times in stating that those Bayou crowds, not only did they believe wrestling was real, they were probably the most, outside of southeastern Kentucky, were probably the most dangerous fans you'd ever want to, be around, as they took their wrestling serious, So when the birds blind the dog, and the dog cut that promo that you could relate with, I can't see my children. I'll never be able to see my children grow. It was huge. It was like, now you relate, and now you're pissed off that they've done something so devious and dastardly to a human. That could be me. And Bill Watts was great for that for so long. And obviously he gets so much credit from taking from Eddie Graham and booking, as does Dusty Rhodes. Maybe not there's Sid with a back kick. So this was one of the fun spots that me and my brother always laugh at there. We kind of missed it. Yoko comes in to try to save Razor, and he blasts Sid in the back, and Sid absolutely no-sells it because he's like, I'm not fucking... So Yoko called the audible, and Sid's like, I'm not selling it. And so Sid does a mule kick there to Yoko, and Yoko just swats that away. So neither guy decides to sell for one another there. And it's probably not as funny to you guys as it was for me and my brother, but we used to get a kick out of it every time we watched it. Like, look at this shit. Because it was funny watching wrestlers not sell for one another.
Yeah, Sid, his look on his face when he kicks back is just like,
it was like, yeah, it was like, fuck you, dude. Don't be getting heat on me when I'm doing shit.
It was, I never noticed that before, but you mentioned them like no selling and just doing spots like that. Like I'm looking at it for now, and that was hilarious. I'd never seen that before. Looks like Sid's laughing there when they go to the Wile E. Coyote cam there.
I never realized once Sid trimmed down here, obviously, once he trimmed down in the body frame, the bumps he was taking were like that of like a smaller guy's landing with his legs up over his head on the back bumps and things. So he actually took that double clothesline bump better than Razor did.
Yeah, he did. Sid looked great here. This is like the best Sid. I always liked Sid Justice in 92. I wish he didn't get injured towards the end of 91 there in 92. I wish he would have had his full run as a babyface. And I think when his turn, it would have been more impactful. Yeah. But, and that one-arm chokeslam always impressed the shit out of me, man. Oh, my God. When he does it to a jobber and he just dumps him on their neck. It's so awesome.
Yeah, he spent years dumping people. Just ask old Buddy Lee Parker.
Go ask that biker dude, too.
Sid tags his old friend Shawn Michaels in. Oh, here we go. We get a spot here. Sid going to hold Shawn, super kick Razor. Razor ducks and boom. Super kicks his nice slow. I'll call it a barbarian bump there. He always arched back before he fell. Shawn doesn't even care, shrugs his shoulders. Gets his own teammate eliminated. Here's, watch this. Oh, I think Bulldog was supposed to land on Razor. Razor sells it, but he lands on Sid. I'm assuming Razor was supposed to move. That's another spot me and my brother always have a big laugh at. These are spots you can't figure out what the hell was originally supposed to happen. Bulldog comes running in, goes to drop the elbow. He lands on Sid. Razor sells it like he lands on him. Bulldog rolls off, rolls back on Sid, and winds up pinning him there. Or Razor does. And it's just a big mess of things. And Sid's back in. He's pissed off at Shawn. Rightfully so. If Shawn ever deserved the power bomb, it was right then and there. I can't blame Sid.
No, I can't either. And I will say one thing we definitely got to point out, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. A lot of this match, even at the beginning, Shawn was really selling the head bumps throughout this match.
Right.
And we all know what that leads to, but I thought he did a pretty good job of, I mean, he's the workhorse of this team. He's in there. It seems like every time somebody gets a tag, it's Shawn, and he's probably all for it. He wants all.
Well, I wonder why that
anyway,
is.
So.
He's the showstopper, man. He can't help but be in the ring.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, there's a spot there. He's grabbing his head. There was a move, or I think it was a power slam early on by Shane Douglas that he sold his head. And so, look at that old lady in the front row, holding on to every whim there.
Yeah, she's been out there the whole pay-per-view. She's soaking this in, man. Front and center. I wonder if she's like Vince's mom or something, because I know it's not, but I mean, she's center, she's got center stage here, front row. So it makes you wonder if maybe she knew somebody. Maybe she was related to somebody. Just seems like an odd place for great granny to be sitting here at a pay-per-view.
She's getting into it though.
Oh, absolutely. She's digging it.
Nice backup.
I mean, you go back to the territory days, and that's who you got in the front row, were all the elderly ladies. You didn't want to get around them. They'd whack you with their canes, man. They took their wrestling seriously.
Purses and everything else.
Yeah. And I mean, that was everywhere. That wasn't just in the South. You can go back to Madison Square Garden. Can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there was an elderly lady there for much of the 70s, maybe into the early 80s. She was always front row, and she would get into it with Fuji, throw the salt and things like that. So Shawn Michaels, he made that bump look great there for Yokozuna, who really hasn't even tagged in a whole lot, but we've discussed that too on the Monday show. Yoko at this point with his size and just his inability to do a whole lot without being blown up, just completely out of shape and really no business in the ring at this point. Very unsafe for himself.
Yeah, it's just a shame. I know WWF did everything they could. This is about the extent of his offense at this point.
I mean, you can mask it a little bit here. You got 4 guys on the team to start off with. We're weeding it down a little bit here now. But Yoko tags in, and it's Shawn taking that bump, basically bumping himself in the corner. And then we go into a nerve hold, and Yoko doesn't even look like he's really trying there. He's just kind of kneeling down and one-handed. Doesn't even really appear to be applying pressure.
Let Owen come in and do some work. It's just unfortunate, man. WWF tried their hardest to get him to lose weight and get him back in shape, but I think Jim Ross said it. I don't know the exact quote, but paraphrasing here, he's like, we can put him in the hospital to get him the help he needs, but if he's sneaking out to get pizza, what else can you do? Yeah. You gotta want it, and he didn't want it. It doesn't seem like, and that's pretty much the end of him.
Yeah, sadly enough, I mean, he comes back at Survivor Series 96 even larger than this because they do send him away in 96 to try to get him some help, as you mentioned. And then he comes back, winds up randomly coming back. I think it was just a one-off. I really don't remember him being there after that unless it was a match with maybe Shawn or something on TV after that. I'm not really sure. But he wasn't there very long. He came back and he was gone again, and we never saw him again. I mean, Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, that was just scary how large he had gotten from that at that point.
Yeah, what's crazy is, and I don't think people realize this, he came in and ended 92, really hit the stride in 93, but look how small he was there compared to now.
Yeah.
Like 93 Yoko was just amazing. But 2 years later, you're talking 2 years later.
He's almost immobile.
He's like 200 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And he was already 400 pounds.
And at first, Vince got a kick out of it. As Yokozuna got larger, Vince, I think, enjoyed to some degree announcing his way. Oh, he's 500 pounds now, and as he got larger and larger until it got to the point where, okay, this isn't fun anymore. It's, it's a little too much. Ahmed getting that big hot tag.
He's looked a little sloppy here.
Well, I mean, he's green, and this is a pay-per-view, and it's really his first big match. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I get it. I get it from a lot of aspects right now. He's going to come in. He's probably going to throw some live rounds like Shane McMahon, and right there, the Pearl River Plunge, 2, 3. Gets to eliminate Owen Hart. Pretty big deal. And if you notice there on the hot tag, usually all the guys come in and they feed for you. Razor and Owen came in and fed for Ahmed. Yokozuna was not getting back in the ring.
No.
In fact, he looks gassed out there, which is unfortunate because all he did was a nerve hold. Ahmed here, he screws this up, wanders way too far away for the Razor Bulldog. Razor has to come get him, and Bulldog anyway.
Razor didn't look too happy. Oh, he nailed Shawn there. Great sell job. Of course, Shawn's going to sell for his boy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you notice Shawn's sell job for Razor is better than anyone else's. And he tumbles out of the ring. Razor calling a spot here. We'll see what this is.
The Razor to Yoko's Irish Whip was pretty nice.
Oh, I bet Scott Hall didn't dig that too much. That spine buster looked a little rough. Looked like a spine buster.
What the hell are you doing, man?
Like, hey, yo. Oh, here we go. This is where he sets himself up for the Razor's Edge. If this wasn't obvious, let me stand on the bottom rope and raise my arms. Oh, how did that happen? And Bulldog tags himself in. Blind tag. And Ahmed Johnson, man, taking the Razor's Edge. Something you really...
jobber.
Yeah.
He sold it like
he's getting up.
Flipped over for him.
He's already on his feet. He's wrestling the skyscrapers back in '89 here. He's already on his feet, wandering over to the corner from the Razor's Edge. You don't get up from a move like that fast. But he's Ahmed Johnson. He's Ahmed Johnson. Oh, what do we have here?
I don't know, man. The kid, he just looked bigger when he turned heel. I don't know. I don't know if it's
the follow-away slam
or what, but something just made him look different when he turned.
I like how Razor hits the follow-away slam, and instead of looking in their direction because he's not supposed to see him yet, he does like this complete spin all over Bulldog to make sure he covers him facing away from Sid and the kid. And there's the kid grabbing Razor's foot. Boom! Knocks the kid off. Everybody in the clique taking good bumps for Razor tonight. And Razor turns right around into the Bulldog power slam. That's all she wrote. You got to believe it. 1, 2, 3. Razor Ramon's gone.
And that's a big win for Bulldog leading into the title match heading in the next in your house. So
we're down to 3-on-1, and it's scary too because it's down to Yokozuna, which makes sense size-wise, and former world champion makes sense, but based on his ability to go right now, I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense. But it's 3-on-1. It's Sean and Ahmed and the Bulldog taking on Yoko, but you got to remember Bulldog and Yoko are both managed by Jim Cornette. And I think that plays in a little bit here. I think Bulldog tries to... Oh, what a shot. Good sell by Sean there. One shot from Yokozuna. And sometimes, it takes a great bumper, like a Sean or a Kurt Hennig, to make the other guy look like they're doing way more than they actually are. So one thing Sean did here is mask Yokozuna's lack of ability very, very well in this match.
Yeah, you almost have to. What are you going to do? You're going to no-sell Yoko? He can just squash you. It's kind of like what Hogan said. You never knew what was going to tip Andre off, and so you did your best to protect him, and you just pray to God that he's going to do business with you. And that's all you can really do. Obviously, they're professionals and things like that, but all it takes is to piss them off. Just go ask Big John Studd and the Ultimate Warrior. So, what's Sean going to do?
Oh, looks like we're going for the bonsai here. Bonsai drop on Shawn. And, this is a day out from the whole Shawn Michaels collapse angle that they do on Raw. And if you pay attention, you tell yourself as a fan the story of this match and couple it with the thug beat down and then, what happens on Raw. You have a pretty good picture you've painted. Here tonight, he's taken the Razor's Edge. He's taken Sid's power bomb. He took the leg drop from Yokozuna. He's
by Shane Douglas at the beginning when he was fresh. He kind of bumped his head there. So there's a lot of damage that he's taken to his head, and it all comes to a head. No pun intended. Tomorrow,
I would love to see what would happen here if Sean hot tagged the Bulldog. Would they even go at it? Did we ever even see Bulldog? I don't think we saw Bulldog versus Yoko or Owen in this match, so they did avoid that. Ahmed was going to jump in the ring, and he thought about, I'm a little gassed, G. Ahmed, waiting for Yoko to turn on.
I got to go pick this big boy up.
Oh, that wasn't as pretty as the first one. Yoko looked gassed, though. He looked like he was trying to get... And the Bulldog breaks up the cover on his own teammate. He doesn't want... What does he think is going to happen here? He doesn't want Yoko eliminated, but how else are you going to win the match? Are we just going to be here all night?
It didn't make any sense.
I get it from the standpoint of they're both managed by Cornette, but at the end of the day, there's the super kick. Bulldog knocked out of the ring by his own men, and Ahmed, big splash, that'll do it. And I believe he screams as he leaps in the air there and gets the 3 count. Ahmed Johnson pins Yokozuna. And yes, I know there was a super kick involved, but that's a pretty big deal, and it's pretty big for Sean to give up that pinfall too. And allow Ahmed Johnson to get the pin and understand they're trying to make a star that's not part of the clique.
Yeah, and also, he pinned Owen Hart too. So pretty big night for Ahmed. I thought they did a great job of
this is fun him. Here. The crowd changes cheers to boos as the different sides raise their hands.
Gentlemen, Michael Ahmed Johnson, the British Bulldog, in the record book with the victory. What a debut for Ahmed Johnson. Let's take a look. And first of all, Ahmed Johnson body slamming Yokozuna. Look at this. Down there. illegal man, and here we go. Devastating cover. And yes, Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson.
Oh, man, Vince had to be in heaven here, the way he fawned over Shawn and then the way he put over Ahmed, too, when he first came in. I mean, to have them together here, this had to be like Vince McMahon's like big night.
Shawn. There you go. Shawn's wobbling and holding his head and things like that. So he knows what's coming.
And here's Sunny. She's already forgotten about Skip being eliminated earlier in the Survivor Series because she's out here now with the fake Bill Clinton. Oh, let me spill a little popcorn. Oh, there we go. I knew it was coming. Oh, oops. Mr. President, all you have to do is give me a little weed and we can talk about this. or pay for me on whatever fucking site she's on, onlyfans.com or whatever the hell she's on now. Once she gets back out of prison, I mean, she's back in jail right now.
Talk about a dark side of the ring waiting to happen. There you go. Right there. What else can you say about Sunny?
Yeah, it's very, very, very unfortunate. The most beautiful woman on earth, if you ask me back then. And I guess
it's hard to even find her attractive anymore. What you know about her.
No. I couldn't anyway. She's
wow.
Yeah, it's so funny. You hear the stories of she was going to college to become an attorney, but she loved wrestling. She grew up on wrestling. She loved wrestling. Her boyfriend was Chris Candido, who was an indie worker, and she got in the business basically because of Jim Cornette. Oh, this is your girlfriend. Let's give her a job. If you ever watch her stuff in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, she's a natural.
Oh yeah,
her promos are amazing. She appeared a few times on Radio WWF. Now, I knew who she was from Smoky Mountain, but I was really shocked that they put her on there because she was Tammy Fitch, in Smoky Mountain. And she got to go on there and do a little bit of this and that every once in a while on the radio. And she was just really good.
Yeah, that's the sad part is like I can't remember... There's the game they play that like all wrestlers play. Like if you just give the town and the height and weight, they can guess the wrestler. And Jim Cornette said Sonny's like really the only person in the business that can give her a run for her money, give him a run for his money. And that just goes to show like how much she knows about the business and how much she cares about the business. And demons have consumed her.
Yeah.
For the latter part of the last 30 or 25 years, I would say. Maybe that's too long, but last 20 years anyway. And,
close enough.
It's just unfortunate because she does have a great mind for the business, and you need people like her around because she is a historian type, and you need people there that can preserve the history of the business and know it and enjoy it and things like that.
I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. So
absolutely. No argument here. It's just unfortunate.
And we're getting ready for the main event of the Survivor Series. This is Diesel defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Bret Hart. A little backstory here. These two first went at it all the way back at King of the Ring. Oh, geez, what was that, 94? That was 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art Donovan.
Yeah. And what was I can't remember the finish of that. I know there was no pinfall involved. The Anvil got involved. Might have been a disqualification. I think Diesel got the win because Anvil got involved. And later we'd find out the Anvil was actually on Owen's side. He turned heel. Then later on, earlier here, January of 95, they had their second match for the title at the Royal Rumble. And then we kept getting run-ins there. It wound up being basically a no contest with a bunch of heels running in, attacking both Bret and Diesel at one point or another. So this is the rubber match, but it's really not the rubber match because we really had no real winner yet. So this is their third pay-per-view between the two, their third meeting as far as I know. And Diesel won the heavyweight championship basically essentially roughly a year ago when Bret Hart lost the belt to Bob Backlund at Survivor Series 94. And Diesel comes out, the next night at Madison Square Garden, a day or two later anyway, and jackknifes him and beats him in 9 seconds, 8 or 9 seconds, and wins the world title. And then the Diesel experiment began. And this is probably the lowest drawing, I guess, champion of all time up until this point, according to several people. I don't know that it was all Diesel's fault, but you can certainly blame him to some degree. You have to blame the opponents that he'd been handed all year. The matches were stinkfest with Sid and Mabel and guys like that. Meanwhile, Bret Hart's been working guys on the mid-card, just having great matches for the most part against the likes of Jean-Pierre Lafitte, Hakushi. Of course, he's done the stuff with Lawler and Isaac Yankem in between as well. And this is basically Bret's ascension back to the main event picture.
Yeah, I can't remember. Somebody came out recently and said you really can't blame Diesel because there was nobody on the roster that was going to draw in 95. No wrestler is going to draw.
Yeah.
To a degree, it's his fault, but the wrestling business was so far in the shitter that nobody cared. You just had your cult audience that was just not going to go away no matter what you threw at them. Kind of like you had me and you, and probably the other 2 million people, or the 2.3% of people that tuned in every week or whatever on Raw and Nitro. So you had a pretty big audience. It just wasn't drawing at the house, and back then that's all that made money. And
yeah, I'll tell you how bad. When I realized how bad it had gotten, it was certainly in 1995. That was the first time I ever got a front row ticket to a house show. I had tried for years to get to that front row, and by the time you go get tickets, the closest I ever made it was I got third row here and there. I really believe I even got second row one time, but it always escaped me for years. I was never able to get to that front row. I was never able to. This was not the internet days or whatever the hell you can do now. I wasn't part of the WWF. I wasn't on their sign-up list, so they didn't contact me first. So I was just a fan. I don't remember where I got my tickets. It might have been Ticketmaster. But that was the first time that I got a front row seat at one of these shows here at 95. It was, I couldn't tell you which one without looking it up. But that was when I came to the realization, has it gotten this bad that it was that easy for me to get a front row ticket? Because those are gone basically immediately. Those are gone before they really go on sale, because back then they had their mailing list, and they would alert their mailing list people, the people that purchased shit from them left and right, their fan club people and all of that. They would alert them first. They get first dibs on purchasing tickets. So the front row is almost always gone anyway. You're telling me there wasn't even enough people that bought a ticket for the front row? Because a spoiler alert, guys, do you know what a front row ticket cost to a house show back in 1995? I might be off by $1 or $2 because they did go up a couple bucks at some point here, but they were roughly $20.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I know when I had to buy tickets, you had to always go down to like the record store, Karma Records, or I can't remember the one that we had that you could buy Ticketmaster tickets.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like you could just hop on the internet and just buy you a ticket and get in line, and hopefully they're still there when you get there. You had to go wait outside and just wait for them that on sale. I think it was every ticket was on sale at 10 in the morning. And that may still be the case now, but yeah, you had to be in line. And hopefully what you wanted was still there.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time when I went, whenever I wasn't doing the floor deal, we just walked up. You were never going to sell out a house show so much here in the early and mid 90s. So it wasn't really a concern of if you were going to get a ticket. But whenever I was doing the floor, it was typically a call in, or my stop wasn't the record store. My stop was, JCPenney in the mall. On the second floor of JCPenney in the mall, there was a little Ticketmaster outlet in the store. And that's where I would get my tickets.
Wow. To kind of put this in perspective, I was trying to buy tickets for WrestleMania 22 in Chicago. And when I called Ticketmaster, so that was 06, I think it was, when Bret went to the Hall of Fame, as we get going here. They're like, sorry, tickets are only available for people who live in Chicago. Like, I'm not going to give away where I live, but I was not in Illinois. I was in a state nearby, and they're like, sorry, we can't sell you tickets. And this was in 06. So I missed the boat on that one. I ended up going to Detroit, and then I ended up going to Florida back-to-back years. But it's crazy how easy it is now to get tickets. And Meltzer discredits that and everything else, and I get it, but it's so much easier to sell tickets now and people ain't buying them. So I don't give a shit. People did it back then. Obviously you're going to take a little effort to get what you want because that's what you had to do. But as we know, just because it's convenient and easy doesn't mean people are going to do it.
Right. And I didn't mean to ignore this match either. I mean, we got two baby faces out here. I should set that stage as well. Diesel's been champion for years, I pointed out, but Bret Hart going into this show with the split screen interview they did on Raw, which was really well done. Bret Hart feels he's never really lost the title. Almost felt a little bit whiny. Not that we're not accustomed to that with Bret Hart, but his mom threw the towel in, and his mom was not the towel bearer of his match with Bob Backlund, so he really never lost the belt in Bret Hart's mind. It just took him a year to go back. Well, I guess he did go for it at the Rumble, but it took him the rest of the year to get another title shot here against Diesel. And Bret's story going in here is that he has the stamina to outlast Diesel, and that's his plan. Diesel's rebuttal was, I don't plan on this match going very long. I'm coming in there to beat somebody up and leave with the belt. So I loved the dynamic of their viewpoints. Bret figures, I'm going to outlast this guy, and that's how I'm going to beat him. And Diesel's thinking, I'm not going long. I'm going to put you away early. I'm going to pound you down and beat you. That's what I'm out there for. So that's the dynamics of the two. Of course, Bret, the technical wrestler, and Diesel, the beat 'em up type guy.
Yeah, Diesel's infamous line, I don't get paid by the hour. I'm going to go out there and end it fast. And
if that didn't sound like a Kevin Nash line, I don't know what does.
Yeah, absolutely. It fit his gimmick completely. But Bret's trying to run away here, get away from him, kind of stall, make him come after him. So the story being told early is definitely Diesel's removing turnbuckle pads to try to hurt him. He's taking it to the outside, doing moves, dropping him on the guardrail, doing things like that to end it quickly. Whereas Bret's kind of running a little bit to wear him out. And definitely they're doing what they're selling. So
yeah, and even though they're both baby faces and there's really no animosity between the two outside of the world title, there's really no issues between the two. This is a no disqualification match because they want to ensure there's going to be a winner here, and that basically means anything goes, which we'll see before this match is over.
Absolutely. I like this gimmick a lot better than what they were going to do. They was going to do the cage, which we get that later on. I think in February at the In Your House, we get the cage match. But, yeah, the cage match would have definitely hindered both of these guys to the point where it would have been a very difficult match to enjoy.
Yeah, it certainly was never going to live up to the hype of this match. This is, if I remember correctly, this is a pretty damn good match.
Yeah, I love this match, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But there's a spot here that's still memorable today.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And also, I will say this is another interesting note here. I think this is the very first Survivor Series that was on a Sunday instead of Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve. So.
Oh, is that a fact? You see, I don't really remember Beyond 93, so that's cool to know.
I did look, because you did ask, like, did Diesel win it the next night, which would have been Monday Night Raw night. I know they may have taped or whatever, but I think he won it that Friday. So they had Survivor Series on Thanksgiving Eve.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. And I would have, if I had thought twice, I would have remembered that myself. It would have made sense because I knew Backlund won it in the middle of the week, and I knew it was like a day or two after the pay-per-view, so I should have known that was Thanksgiving Eve, but I just didn't do the math there.
Yeah, and I looked at the calendar, this is the 19th, so that's definitely a Sunday. It's not Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, we've moved away from the Thanksgiving tradition, sadly.
Which is unfortunate.
They say this is Vince's favorite holiday. Kind of an odd holiday to be your favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with Christmas, but
well, Thanksgiving was the biggest night, at least in the Southern territories, but it was the biggest drawing night every year in most territories. That was their big card. That was their WrestleMania show for the most part every year.
Yeah.
Not that they built everything up all year to get there, but they tried to pull out all the stops on those events, and Vince avoided running on holidays, whereas most of the other territories preferred to run on the holidays. They seem to draw really well. Christmas even, and Thanksgiving certainly. Vince really never ran on those days, and for obvious reasons. But he did start, running the Survivor Series. Of course, a lot of that was, in response to Starrcade. Yeah.
Yeah. He did try Christmas once with the No Holds Barred match in the movie.
No, that was the 27th. The 27th.
It was close.
Yeah.
It was close enough. But
have a no-holds-barred Christmas. Oh! Diesel going for the jackknife. Yeah. Diesel going for the jackknife. He wasn't kidding, man. He ain't getting paid by the hour. Bret is fighting it. It looks legit. Look at him. And that's why guys don't do that nearly enough when the big guy tries to pick him up. Grab their leg, hook your arms around their thigh. That's realistic. That's how you counter it.
They have tree trunks. Grab them. They are 6'10", 6'11". Grab them. That's what they're there for.
And if Bret didn't put himself over so damn much, I might appreciate him a little more, because he gets some damn good matches out of some guys that you really don't see have many good matches. And Diesel, certainly one of them. Some of his best shit ever was with Bret Hart here, and this match especially.
I think this is Diesel's best match of his career right here. He was forced to work, and Bret did everything he could to make it believable and make it work. And Bret gets a bad rep just because he is a crybaby, but I don't care. He was just happened to be the guy that I grew up with for the most part, and because I'm a little bit too young for the prime Hogan. I got the tail end of Hogan. I got the Warrior, things like that, but Bret was pretty much it, because 93 was when I really took off, and Bret was the guy. And so I give Bret a pass on everything. I don't care. He has legitimate gripes. He's gone through a lot in his life. I get it. You shouldn't just harp on those things. But at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like he deserved better than what he ended up getting. And it's not of anybody's fault. Shit happens in wrestling. It just sucks that it happened to Bret Hart. I really do feel that.
Well, some would argue that some of the issues he brought upon himself. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's hard to get mad at him. Like, I don't know how other people would react if something happened to their brother like it happened to his. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I don't know how I would react to something like that. How I would feel towards. I get it. It sounds like he's over it and he's buried the hatchet with Vince, but I think at the same time, it's almost like if a girlfriend cheats on you, and you forgive them, but at the end of the day, that's constantly in the back of your mind. So I can just imagine every time he sees him, it's like, you killed my brother. Like,
Bret's really come out and said most of his major concern was he was in the belief when this screw job went down and he left the company that he would never be able to watch any of his footage ever again. His footage would be taken away from him forever, and now that he has access to it, I guess that's alleviated a lot of it too. He's just really happy to be able to have whatever he didn't already have of himself and whatever's put out there. So I think it's a little bit about Bret Hart. Yeah. He's sitting here working the figure 4 on Kevin Nash. So Diesel tried to end the match early with the jackknife, obviously. And Bret decides to slow things down as he promised to do on Raw. And he starts working over the big man's legs, which makes sense here. And even locks in the figure 4. It looked like he almost was going to go for the sharpshooter, and he changed it up and went for the figure 4 there. Don't see that a whole lot from the Hitman, but at least not without the ring post involved.
It's his homage to his favorite guy, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
The problem is with Bret is there's no bigger mark for Bret Hart than Bret Hart, and that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. When you believe your own shit, you're like, your shit don't stink. It's just going to rub the majority of the people the wrong way. And if you didn't live with, like, you didn't grow up with Bret Hart, you didn't live it, it's hard to, I mean, it's not hard to go back and appreciate how great he is in the ring. Like, I can give you a Bret Hart match, and
here we go.
You're going to come out like a believer in Bret Hart as far as his in-ring work goes. But at the end of the day, like, he just rubs too many people the wrong way. And I guess it's just part of it. You just got to have that mentality that you're the best, and he believes it. And it is what it is. I give him a pass.
And there we saw Bret Hart basically trying to apply his sharpshooter, and Diesel goes to the eyes. So babyface Diesel doing whatever it takes in this no DQ match to retain his title belt there. So we get a little bit of heel reaction from the champion, because he's going to keep that belt at all costs. And I know things break down a little more than that as the match goes on. And here's Bret. Oh.
Did Bret hit his ear? on that kickoff into the corner? Because it looks like there's some blood.
I have no idea. I don't
Because
see.
when he hit the corner, he grabbed his ear, and then if you look at his back shoulder, it looked like there was some blood there. I don't know. I don't remember. Is there blood in this match?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, look at the back of his shoulder there.
Bret Hart grabbing. What is that? Is that a rope or a wire?
It's the cable. Yeah, but it looks like there's some blood there. I don't know. Maybe this grazed the rope wrong and it made it bleed. I don't know, but he grabbed his ear, and it was an awkward thing to grab for there.
Now, Bret, this is pretty clever here. This is not something you see every day in the wrestling business, so it's a pretty clever idea from Bret here, grabbing that cord, and he's going to wrap it around the leg of Diesel, and it's all legal. So the Hitman, who's always basically been a babyface his entire singles run anyway, is getting a little heel here, if you want to call it that. We've already seen Diesel do a few things that are questionable, but this is, oh man, there's you a boot to the face.
I like it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. As the guy's starting to really, they're both proving at this point, well, I'm going to do, this is no disqualification. I'm just going to do whatever I got to walk out of here with the belt. I really, really enjoyed that part of the story. So we have two baby faces here, and they're both breaking the rules. Of course, the rules are thrown out, and Diesel, this is great. That was great. Diesel tries to run away, but he can't because his foot's tied up, and Bret winds up catching him off the middle rope there. Good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier, Bret, he had the figure 4 on, and Diesel got to the ropes, but he doesn't have to let go. It's no DQ. You can't make me let go of him. So, yeah, he definitely started with the heel tactics. Here's the chair. Diesel did it earlier. So, yeah, it's definitely different seeing these two guys do whatever it takes to win the belt, and they're both fan favorites. They're both good guys. And to me, it just made the belt feel more important. Like, these guys are going to do whatever it takes to win the title because they want that belt. It's what makes them tick, and it's all about the belt. And I thought that was very well done.
Another great spot there is Bret runs a Diesel with the chair. Bret goes and gets the chair. He runs a Diesel with it, and Diesel, well, he trips up on the cord, but once he gets his foot unwrapped, he nails Bret with the free foot, the big boot. But he can't get over to capitalize because he's tied up. So just really good psychology and story being told here. Diesel just being screwed by being tied to this cord here as Bret works over his leg with the chair now. And I hadn't realized how much Bret went to, the length Bret went to in this match. I remember him tying Diesel's leg up, but I just didn't remember him using the chair and things like that. So it's very intriguing to watch the wrestler, Bret Hart, basically trying anything and everything to get that belt back around his waist here.
That's what makes him go.
And you got to remember, these guys don't even technically hate each other. They're both top of the line baby faces. They really haven't had any issues. As far as storyline purposes, they have mutual respect for one another. But go back to what you say, man. It's all about that belt, and that's really all that's what they're fighting over here.
And 95, you believed every minute of it because the belt meant something. Now, not so much, but.
No, now it doesn't even matter who has the belt or if the belt changes. It doesn't even matter really who gets a pinfall. They've trained you. I don't even know. And Bret crotches himself. I don't know what he was going for there. It's not often you see Bret Hart climb to the top rope.
No, it's always the middle rope.
No, Bret's going to take the old Flair bump here, maybe. Oh,
he's channeling his inner Ric Flair here.
He is the dirtiest player in the game.
Well, they're according to Vince, they're in Washington, but it is Landover, so that's kind of NWA country. So maybe he's just channeling Ric Flair because he knows it's going to get over in this. Well, crowd.
It's both people's country. I mean, it's WWF and W. That's kind of where they mingle. They intermingle there, right around that area. Obviously, Vince's dad ran DC. That was where the WWF really was conceived.
Capital Wrestling, yeah. So I think this is one of the few towns that both companies could draw well.
Right.
Was Chicago and Baltimore really are the two big ones.
Yeah, we're here in Landover.
Maybe Atlanta. That was WCW country there for the longest time. It took a long time for it.
Or as Gorilla would call it, a side suplex, the patented side suplex of Dino Bravo.
That's right. Dino Bravo.
And Bret takes the epic chest first bump into the corner. And I didn't notice this before. The turnbuckle pad's gone. I didn't see Diesel do that. Or did Bret do it? I don't know.
That's the one Diesel took off. Diesel took it off at the very beginning, and then Bret did it on the other side. That's
okay, see, I missed all of that.
Yeah. Diesel took it off first. He just ripped it right off, and then Bret's over there struggling to untie his. And it's kind of like, oh, you're going to do that? Well, I'm going to do it right back. So here you go.
Diesel's selling that leg pretty good here. It's been worked over for quite a bit of time there by Bret Hart, and it really was some good spots there. It wasn't a bunch of downtime. It wasn't like Davey Boy and Diesel the month prior, which was probably, sadly, Diesel's worst match. That covers a lot of ground. That covers Sid and Mabel and guys like that, and that's probably because it went a lot longer, too.
Diesel couldn't run on that move, and it had way more impact than it would have if he did run.
Right.
It just looked cooler that way. I'm trying to notice if Bret really did hit his ear. It seems like there's blood coming out on that shoulder area.
You are a stickler for these accidental blood spots on guys, man. You point these out like every time we do a watch along. I was like, I don't care personally.
I never noticed it before. But I did notice when he kicked off, like he grabbed his ear, which is is a weird spot to grab.
Sure. Yeah, he probably did cut it. I mean, I don't doubt that. I mean, your ear gets in the way when you're rubbing up against things. That's how they get the cauliflower too, and the headlocks and things. Just damn ears. If they weren't there during wrestling matches, it'd be a lot better off. Just ask Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Looks for the snake eyes. Oh, Bret slides out and rams Diesel headfirst into the exposed steel corner. Now, that would knock a normal guy out. You could win the match, but Diesel just drops to a knee.
And I like how he's going, like he's wobbly when he's trying to pick him up. He's struggling to do it. He's really doing a great job of selling his knee.
Yeah, I don't know that Nash was a bad worker overall, like when he was in there with somebody that could work. But it just seemed like he didn't give a shit most of the time. You never saw him sell like this in WCW. He just never had to. It seemed like he just never took it seriously.
Yeah, when you go to WCW, it doesn't matter what the hell you do. It's not about putting on a decent match. It's just, I don't know what it was about there, to be honest with you. It was just to pop a rating.
Money.
Nothing else mattered.
Money.
Well, money didn't matter either because they was just handing that out like candy.
I meant for Kevin Nash. That's what mattered.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, nice float over there.
Delayed float over.
Yeah.
hit the side Russian leg sweep, and then he thought about it, and then he floated over. A little bit of a nod to Brad Armstrong. About 30 seconds late.
I'm telling you, man, he's just channeling that NWA WCW crowd. That's what he's doing. He knows his audience. Clotheslines
Diesel to the floor. Right in front of Granny, man. She's digging this. Look at this.
That Bret Hart.
Oh, my God. What a wipeout.
Ooh.
I don't know what the hell he was trying there.
I'll tell you, man, that spot when he did that to Bulldog at SummerSlam 92, oh, my God. I'm surprised Bulldog didn't, just snap his neck. He overshot it, and he just grabbed his neck, and threw him down. Anyway, that was a nice spot there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering what they're going for here with Diesel rolling in the ring to get away from, but you think he would capitalize. Maybe a jackknife on the floor. That'd be nice right now. Probably would have helped him in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, before this match is over with. And here we go. Bret's wandering around to position himself into a spot here, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And if there's one spot you guys want to watch in this match, it's coming up right about here. It's Bret Hart up on the apron, and Diesel sends Bret through the table, and Hugo Savinovich takes his first of a gazillion bumps out of the chair, his oversell. It's somebody in their first Spanish announce table has been broken in the history of the WWF. And it wouldn't be great without Hugo taking that bump out of the chair just to get it across a little, just a little more.
Yeah, I still remember that bump. I was like, holy shit, he just went through a table.
That was huge.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is obviously like this happened every night in ECW, and it would get way overdone. And this is even after like Sabu did it, but you never really seen Sabu just send somebody through the table on Nitro.
Well, you never saw somebody go through a table on the WWF period. So this it was just completely out of the element. Yeah. By this point, I'd owned the ECW double tables tape, so I had seen the match where the gimmick was you had to put both your opponents through the table or whatever the hell it was. So I understood the concept of putting people through the table, and like you just pointed out, we had just seen Sabu do it to himself at least a couple of times now on WCW Nitro. So it's out there. We know that it exists, but to happen in the WWF, it was just an element of WWF that never happened before. So when this happened out of the blue, and Bret used to love to take those bumps off the apron into the guardrail anyway. He's done that on numerous times. Mm-hmm. But here to take it through the table, great bump by Bret Hart, and just really cool. It really set the tone for the future of the WWF because tables, they weren't used all the time, but they set the precedent. So it did happen again here and there. So eventually we'd see Shawn go through a table, or Mankind try to go through it, kind of dive headfirst through a hole in a table and things like that. So
mind games. Wow. Yeah. That's another one of those spots that you just remember.
Here we go. Let's pick up the audio here.
Handed to Hart. He's a tough competitor. He's down and out.
Diesel as Bret Hart slips down.
Turn him over and pin him. I don't think.
So real quick before he goes for the jackknife again, the story here is Diesel's showing a little remorse for Bret. Well, let's see what happens with that.
I don't know. That's a wise decision. No, wait a minute.
I can't believe it. He did it. He did it. He did it. Whoa. Oh my. Oh my gosh.
Hey, wait a minute.
Wait a minute here. Come on. Oh, good gosh almighty.
Diesel.
Oh, she struck an official.
Diesel.
That always kills me.
He struck 6 of them, Ross.
Yeah. That always killed me because he lays out the ref. He power bombs Bret Hart. I mean, it's something a heel does. Then he nails 3 more referees, and Jim Ross says, "Oh, he struck an official." And it was just another fun line here from this Survivor Series pay-per-view. Is it seemingly Diesel turns heel here, and it had been 5 years removed from Bret Hart dropping the F-bomb after being pinned by Ted DiBiase on Survivor Series 90, and here we are 5 years later, and this time very evident when Bret Hart pins Diesel, he is not happy as he drops the MF bomb. When he sits up, and he loses it immediately, loses his big daddy cool, if you will, nails the referee, power bombs Bret twice, clocks 3 more referees, and if you listen to Jim Ross, the worst part of it all was he struck an official.
And he stopped selling the leg. His leg's up magically okay.
That's right. Because now he needs to get his heat back. So the experiment of Diesel as world champion is over here.
Oh, he's selling it there. Never mind. He's selling it.
As he makes his way to the back and coming out of this pay-per-view, immediately, your initial thought, you're trained to think, he's turned heel. But like everything else at this point in time, and I loved when they did this too, they go back and they show a video of clips, highlights from the pay-per-view. I used to love when they didn't do it all the time, but whenever they did it, it was fun. Kind of a reminder, a hodgepodge of everything that took place over the course of the night.
Yeah, I love these. Obviously, you're watching it. You don't just get up and go away and miss the finish or something like that. But was always cool to get that recap because you're like, damn, because a lot of times it's what you're left with, and you're left with Bret laying in the ring. So they show you this replay and it's like, oh damn, we missed all. I remember all this. This was awesome. What a great show. And these Hot Fudge highlights just look great, man. I always enjoyed them. So cool.
Yeah, tremendous job from top to bottom. Was everything 5-star classics? Absolutely not. But I think everything outside of the Goldust match, which was tolerable here this time around, it wasn't good, but it was tolerable. No. I think it just went about 8 minutes. So, I mean, as long as you can, sit through 8 minutes, then you're okay. I'm trained nowadays to watch so much garbage that 8 minutes is nothing really in the grand scheme of things. And that's really the only thing I can complain about on the entire card.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, all these matches were what you expect from a Survivor Series match. Like you said, quick tags, lots of action, and never lulls. And, it's not the greatest workers. It's not the greatest matches. But if you love Survivor Series, this is kind of one of those last of the good ones. It's a lot of people, to me personally, like, I kind of stop at 95. I'll watch 95, and then I'm kind of done. 96 is 97 is terrible. I couldn't tell you one match on the 97 Survivor Series outside of the main event with Shawn and Bret. I can't tell you one match. I
can tell you that was a terrible show, and the only reason that Survivor Series gets any play is because of the screw job, because it's a terrible, terrible show.
And then by 98, it's the tournament. So this is kind of it for me anyway.
It's a deadly game. Terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is pretty much it, man. And it stinks because I felt like they had a good concept, but like everything kind of runs its course.
Yeah, and I don't know that they can't do this again, but they're so far away from where they need to be to do this again that they really can't do this again, if that makes any sense. Like, they're never going to get back to where they need to be in order to pull this off, is basically what I'm getting at.
And I agree with you, but really all it takes is a couple months of decent feuds that last, starting maybe at SummerSlam and then finish it up at Survivor Series.
Sure, but we don't get that.
Work.
That's not how they operate, though. That's why I said we're so far off. Vince changes his storylines weekly. So during the show sometimes.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, it's just, I feel like if you can do that, it's not hard to get to this point.
No, and after a long list of really bad pay-per-views, basically the entire year, starts off with the Royal Rumble being every minute because the roster is so depleted that they don't feel they can handle an hour-long match and it stay over with the fans. WrestleMania was, oh my God, what a lackluster card that was outside of Diesel and Shawn. What a terrible, terrible show. And you just go on, they introduce In Your House. We get Sid and Diesel and a pair of stinkers there. The $1 million feud with Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow at King of the Ring. SummerSlam, Diesel and Mabel. And it's not, I keep saying Diesel, but it's not all Diesel. I mean, it's a lot of the matches on the cards.
Look at the names he's given. I mean, jeez. Mabel, Sid twice.
So for them to be able to pull this off was... you kick off the night with a surprise return of Mr. Perfect. You get a bunch of your workhorses out there, Marty Jannetty, the 1-2-3 Kid, Hakushi, Candido, guys like that. The women were extremely impressive for obvious reasons. Great talents, especially from Japan. And they forced Medusa to up her game like she had to do when she was in Japan. So again, like I said, there's a little lull there with Bigelow and Goldust, but maybe if it was fresh, if we were really watching this back then, it was the aura of Goldust might have made it a little more entertaining, or at least a little more tolerable. I don't know. And then we get the return of the Undertaker, which that was the story there. His team held their own until Taker tagged in, and we got the finish I guess we really needed in that instance. And then the wild card match was something different, and it was fairly entertaining. And like I said, there's always those fun comedy spots that weren't intentional to be comedy, but I always get a laugh out of me and my brother always get a laugh out of them. So it was fun pointing that out to somebody else like you, and then I guess to the world now.
Yeah, I've seen them. I just never really put two and two together. Like that's, to be honest with you, that's the first time I've seen Sid look at Yoko like that. Like, dude, get the F out of here.
Yeah.
I never noticed that before. And it's hilarious and awesome. It just adds another layer to that match for me. So thanks for pointing that out.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. Anytime I can think of something that, I saw years ago that I could point back out to someone, I try to do it. I try to preserve history, even if it's just comedy history.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the main event was great. I wasn't a big fan in 91 when they introduced a World Heavyweight title match to the Survivor Series. It wasn't the Survivor Series I knew, but by 92, that was definitely not the Survivor Series I knew. So when they went back to the survival format and just had like one match on the card that was one-on-one, I didn't complain so much once we moved back away from the 92 period or that whatever the hell their idea was there. So I couldn't really complain, and you really couldn't ask for a better match, especially with Diesel involved. So you get a match this good, and it doesn't matter what show it's on. So I was fine with this closing the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and top to bottom, really good. Only thing I can do is ask our patrons. I'm sure they already are if they're our patrons, but please go check out Monday Warfare, The Battles Within. These are great complimentary pieces. We've done Halloween Havoc. We've done World War III. Now we've done Survivor Series. They play in. You guys can listen to the Monday shows. And then when we get to the pay-per-view, you can come over to the patreon.com/WrestleCopia and listen to these shows as you go along. So it's a really nice complimentary piece, as I said. And Steve, once again, thank you for knocking out another 1995 pay-per-view.
I love this show. Again, like I said, it's like the end of Survivor Series to me, as you know it, as you're supposed to know it. And I've always enjoyed that main event. It's one of my favorite matches. So, again, pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me again.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to this special bonus edition of Survivor Series 95. Again, we want to remind you to go over to Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade, at RASSLIN Grenade. Click that follow button because we're giving away another free prize tonight. We continue to give away free prizes all the time, and you're automatically entered every time by simply following us at Wrestling Grenade on Twitter, or follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade as well. Tonight, it's the October 92 WWF magazine featuring the Native American Tatanka on the cover. And I want to remind everyone also to go over to our Patreon account, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, the $5 tier, the all-access tier. I should mention there's 14 tiers over there, as low as a $1 tier, guys. But the $5 tier is where it's at. You get all of the gifts that come along with the lower tiers, including my show notes and early access to the Grenade shows, unedited versions of TR Shocks the World, and, of course, the $5 tier, the all-access tier, gets you our watch-along series. You guys can listen to shows like this, like Survivor Series 95. We also did World War III. We did Starrcade. We did the In Your Houses 5, 6, 7, 8. I lose count of the numbers there. We did WrestleMania 12. We've done all the pay-per-views up through, I think we're in May, June. We're heading into June of 1996 on our Patreon account as far as pay-per-views go. So if you liked what you heard today, you'll hear a lot more of it. Of course, this is a retro. We recorded this a year ago. So Steve's microphone, the old version, he's got as you guys hear on the current shows, even an even better microphone these days. But we were still getting started. We started back in July of 2020. This was recorded in November, so we only had a few months of experience at that time. And here we are a year later after we record that. Looking forward to doing more. So you guys head on over to patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Please subscribe, even for a month. Check it out. If you don't like it, there's no obligation to continue to commit. You can cancel at any time. And with all that out of the way, just want to say happy Thanksgiving once again to everybody. Happy Thursday to everyone as well. And we'll be back next week with more Wrestling Memory Grenade on the way as we do more of the WWF in 1993. It's a watch-along episode. Yes, another watch-along. We're going to cover 2 shows from the European Rampage tour the WWF did in April of 93, a show from the Group A team and the Group B team. So we're going to take a look at just about everyone in the company and what they were doing over in Europe throughout April of 1993. And there's going to be links posted for you guys to click, play, and watch along with us. So stay tuned for those links as well on our social media accounts, as well as in the show notes when we post that episode next week. Be on the lookout for our next episode of WWF in 1993 next Wednesday. For now, this is Ray Russell, and on behalf of my co-host Steven Eckstad, who did that Survivor Series along with me, want to thank him for that. Want to thank you guys out there, again, our loyal listeners, for continuing to listening to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Keep us climbing those charts, and we'll see you again next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
I'm thankful for having the most ravishing body in the WWF.
I'm thankful because I ate Ricky Rude.